All right, so since you guys are all paying attention, how this works, for those who don't know what's happening right now, me and Tummy started something called the Hidden Potential Podcast a long time ago. And basically this podcast is talk about anything MapleStory related, whether it's current events, anything that's on our mind about the game. And it's something for you guys to just listen to. And maybe you could learn something from it. So it's not going to be like a normal stream format where you're like asking me questions and then I just answer or we fuck around and stuff. This is basically just, we're going to talk about a bunch of topics that we selected that we think are relevant right now. Whether it's from the meta to classes to remasters to upcoming changes, what we want to see in the game and stuff like that. So that's basically what you're watching right now. And I am joined with Tummy and Taco, bro. We have we have all Explorer Thief players here, bro. Actually chills.
You know what's crazy?
What?
You want to think about how crazy my observation hockey is.
Okay.
We got the DB bod in the overlay.
Oh, true.
We got
yeah.
the Sonic Blow for Shadower, and then we have the Hayato Phantom Blade and Susano.
In the overlay. It's actually kind of crazy. We have all the skills that represent our classes. Hey, we all have Shadower in common too, amongst all three of us.
Yeah, 2 of us too.
What do you mean 2 of us?
Me and Tummy.
What? I put you onto Shad. Bro, you were a Corsair before me, bro. You were like Saxotone, bro. Yeah, this guy 420, bro. Anyways, do you guys want to say anything, or should we talk about our first topic of discussion today?
Well, we're still doing introductions, right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you guys should introduce yourselves because obviously these 2 people that I'm talking with right now, Tummy and Taco, they're not just like randoms off the fucking street, bro. They also stream, and Tummy also has his own YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm mostly known as Tummy for people who play the game. But on YouTube, I'm Santo. And on Twitch, I'm Stummy. I'm an Explorer Thief main, but ever since 6th Job, I'm kind of just locked into Dual Blade for now. And currently 290. The most difficult boss that I've cleared recently is Hard Calling.
Chills.
This is also the 3rd episode we've done.
Yep.
But we have a new guest here. Who goes by
do.
GigaTaco5 if you want to talk about yourself.
I'm Taco. I play Shadower. I'm on Hyperion. I hate Chronos and all Chronosians. All things Chronos related. And that's it.
Yo, that's crazy, bro. So we got a mixed bag here, you know what I mean? Like, we got Tummy who's hyper endgame on Chronos. We got Taco who hates Chronos, but he's like kinda endgame on Hyperion. And then you have me who's just like the pinnacle of both. So like we have all perspectives here. Kinda crazy.
Yo, just a disclaimer, it's a joke. I don't actually hate Chronos and Chronosians, bro. Y'all are good. I'm just fucking with you guys.
Yo, chills. All right, so now that we know what's going on here. Oh, I guess I should introduce myself either. My name is Hamza. I am 24 years old. I like to play games, in particular MMOs. Yeah, I'm just joking. Yeah, something about me. Yeah, I stream video games. And I have a YouTube channel. But yeah. What is this dating profile intro? This ain't an interview, bud. Okay, anyways, let's go to our first topic of discussion. So all these topics are things that we've selected, and they all kind of go hand in hand for today's overarching theme, which today's overarching theme is basically talking about the future of the game and what makes classes good or bad, essentially. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is remasters in this game. So I guess I'm going to start it off with Aran and Shade remaster, right? What do we think of Aran and Shade remaster? I know Tummy plays Aran, so he probably has a valid opinion on this.
I only really looked at the class in terms of visuals after the remaster. I haven't really paid attention to just how exactly the class changed. I think that because it was still in KMST and I think it still is in KMST, I didn't exactly look too deep into it. I think I'm just gonna be the judge of it when it's actually right here in GMS in front of me to just test it out and whatnot. Mainly because if I were to try information about it right now, especially if it's in Korean right now, it's gonna be kind of a lot of things missed in translation if I were to use machine translation. Also, I feel like if I were to try to find people who translated it, there's probably gonna be a lot of Giga Doomers with the class, which we'll get into soon. But as always, with the remasters, because the Shade and Aran remaster isn't the first iteration of remasters ever. In fact, it goes even further back than that, right? Before it even got officially recognized as a quote-unquote remaster, right? I was around for one of the most memorable remasters for me was when there was the Red update, which reorganized the Explorer classes, right? But essentially, the goal of remasters is to really look at the major pain points about that class or classes and try their best to solve it. And I'd say from what I've seen and what I've heard, some of the pain points were either not really addressed or just kind of left on the wayside, and they just kind of not completely, or actually for Aran, it's mostly the same playstyle, but for Shade, I've heard that it's a really, really big change in the playstyle now.
Yeah, because their main bossing skill before was their Spirit Frenzy, and now that's just like a fucking mobbing skill now. And they moved the damage from that into their other skills. So it's just like completely different now, straight up.
Yeah, I was hearing things about how like Shade is a 1-minute class, and which is interesting because for us in GMS, the most recent iteration of a 1-minute class is Angelic Buster for us. So hearing that there's another 1-minute class now as a result of a remaster, it seems like Nexon really likes this idea of like, okay, like these DPM classes, we're just going to make it into like a 1-minute class now instead. Except I don't even think Shade was really like considered like a DPM class. Like, I think it was like it had a decent burst, but also like pretty decent off burst as well. But I don't know too much about the class. I can definitely be misinformed about that. But seeing how it got transferred to a women class, I can see that Nexon really likes this idea.
Yeah, that's the second time we've had this like one burst shit come up. This has never been the case before. Like AB and now Shade. It's very interesting. You know, they also changed Hunter's Prey to 30-second cooldown, I think, which is very weird.
So the thing about that change is that I'm not sure if that means that even if you were to re-enter Adrenaline before those 30 seconds is up, does that mean that it's still on cooldown? Because the way it works right now is it's just once per Adrenaline. So you could do, like the bread and butter for Aran was being able to do your back-to-back Adrenalines, so you can do back-to-back Hunter Sprays. So going to be interesting to find out what it actually entails. But interesting so far.
Yeah. So what do we think about the AB remaster? Because that's the one that just hit us right now. So personally, you know, I happen to actually be an AB expert. I think it's OP as fuck, bro. Like I think AB's actually crazy, bro. Straight up. Especially for new players who want a character to do bosses on. That shit is like the premier pick right now with the event.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of cases with the new AB from like AB players
Mm-hmm.
where, like as a boss mule or a second main, it feels really good because, solo bossing is all that matters in a case like that. But I'm pretty sure they lost a shitload of their damage on their burst, like their origin burst, their actual 2 minute burst, everything. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, right? Because I think they
Mm-hmm.
lost a significant enough margin to put them at like the bottom end of like, like 35-second BA or something,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really, really bad because I don't think this class was even too crazy to begin with. But I think as a mule, it's perfect. But yeah, I don't know how the AB mains are feeling about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Well,
that.
they don't have
Oh,
second mastery yet. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, nobody does, so.
Yeah, like they need that shit though. Like it'll help them a lot.
so the thing about the Master Core is I'm not too sure how it exactly interacts when you origin,
Mm-hmm.
because when you origin, it specifically in the description of the skills, it changes the soul seekers to cherishing balloons or something like that. I don't remember what it's
Yeah.
called. So that makes me think that during your origin, your second master core doesn't even do anything. So it's more of like it's like a buff to your non-origin burst and to your off burst, which is very strange because it's like usually when during your origin, like that's when you want to be at your peak.
Mm-hmm.
So like if that's actually how it interacts, where your second mastery core doesn't really do anything during your origin burst, that's very. It's definitely intentional, but I'm not sure why Nexon decided to go with that
Mm-hmm.
reasoning. Could be foreshadowing of the future of just how AB will play as a class with more skills and origin skills and whatnot. Um,
Um, I'm pretty sure they just modernized the skills to where like like before, like when it changes this, if it was to change the skill name, it wouldn't be affected by the boost from the origin, for example. But I'm pretty sure they're just modernizing it all for it to like work how you would expect it to, right? Like for a good example would be like um Shadow or Pulverize, like the damage is getting boosted from the second mastery, even though it says
Mm-hmm.
Assassinate gets boosted. Things like that. I'm pretty sure they're modernizing it, so I'm like almost completely sure that the marks are gonna get boosted by the origin.
I s-
Yeah. I would definitely lean in favor of I would lean into the belief that their second mastery would change the origin balls and boost that shit too. 100%.
okay. I mean, I would hope so too, but
There's no way it
yeah,
doesn't, bro. That'd be the dumbest shit on earth. Like,
I would agree. Yeah. But I think one of the pain points about this class after the remaster, like, is specifically C Kalos right now.
mm-hmm.
Um, again, the if you're doing like Kalos, specifically C Kalos, because it's like the most reasonable difficulty that people can do right now. If you're a 1 minute burst class, the way that you can think about it is that it's traditionally a 2 minute class, right? It still is because your longest cooldown is Spotlight, being at
Mm-hmm.
120. But you have the ability to use your Dragon Mascot every minute. You can use your AB every minute. You can use your what's called overdrive every minute as well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I see skills like this, it makes me think that okay, this skill or these skills are intentionally designed with the fact that they're 1 minute cooldown, so the power behind a 1 minute can only be so strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be as strong as a 2 minute, but if you were to like, play around with numbers and if you were to double the cooldown and also double the damage, then it would reflect that of a 2 minute skill. But because it's a 1 minute skill, the power is scaled down to a bit, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
scaled down to the fact that it's a 1 minute cooldown.
Hmm.
So with that being said, where you're in C Kalos, where most parties are going to be doing 3 minute bursts per segment,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're losing a lot of value as an AB because the fact that you can use your Dragon Mascot every minute, your Overdrive, and your AB every minute, you most likely wouldn't want that to be the case anyways in C-Colors, because that means that not only is your party kind of really weak, but they're relying on your ability to do that as an AB. Right? So that party probably isn't going to be lasting long anyways, unless it's like a really tight-knit group of like static members. So that hurts ABs.
Like current endgame viability.
Yeah, it hurts them in that essence, but that's only true in C Kalos, right? And bosses like Extreme Saren, I want to say in H Calling as well, they'll probably be fine. I don't think they'll be like undervalued or anything like that. But to further build upon that point, because their skills are scaled down to a 1 minute timer, then that means that as an AB, if you want to be able to push the numbers of a traditional 2-minute burster, so something like a hero or an arc, something like that, you would need to be, for lack of a better term, you would need to be over geared for that content.
Yeah.
Like you would need to be so much more stronger than your peers, so that your 2-minute / 1 minute burst would be as strong as their 3 minutes or their 2 minute. It's the same thing for Dual Blade, so I'm somewhat aware of this, where your Blade Tempest is like your breadwinner for the class. It's your main deal during your big burst. So seeing how Blade Tempest is split into 90-second cooldown, the power of it is also scaled down to 90. And if you're in a situation where your party's relying on your second mini burst, like your mini burst Blade Tempest, it's like your party's cooked. Like you're doing so much tip damage for over 90 seconds that your Blade Tempest comes back up and they still need it.
It's like CM. CM's another one.
Yeah, except CMs are definitely in a better place now than they were before.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same logic though, like 90-second burst. It'll just never be as big as the 3-minute burst. And in certain bosses like Kalos, where they're doing 3-minute burst, and it's really hard to even get off your second burst. Like you're just limited by the boss, like straight up.
To be fair though,
Shadower too.
Like in fairness, DB's 3-minute is quite a bit bigger than the 90-second itself, right?
Oh yeah. It's because you have Shadow Walker,
Shadow
Warrior.
Walker, Ozrin.
You also have Ring Restraint.
Shadow Walker, Advanced Dark Sight.
The thing about Cannon Master and honestly even Shadower as well is the fact that they also amp up your other party members' damage during that burst, right?
That's true.
You have you get like a couple extra 100 stat from Flag and like 20 ID or something for the whole party, which is actually relevant. Like it is a 380 PR boss, so it's still relevant, but even if you already have a bishop, like that extra ID does actually translate to more FD in the end anyways. You have the Monkey Magic as well. There's also I keep forgetting what it's called, but like the freaking Amazon packages that drop down,
Pool
that
Maker.
give you like Pool Maker. Okay, yeah, that gives you 10% damage. It heals you as well. But obviously, I'm surprised they didn't decide to touch that skill when they decided to like touch up Cannon Master a tiny bit, right? Because that's like taking advantage of those packages. You have to really go out of your way, but not only that, but you have to hope that the RNG where it lands is in a convenient enough spot for you to want to go get it, right? 10% damage, it really isn't that anything special. Like it's nice
I thought
to
it was
have.
more than 10.
I think it's 30, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I thought it was
30?
like 30. Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty sure it's 30,
I was always under the impression that was just 10% damage, but if it's 30, but still, like I don't know, it is out of the way, and you are hoping on the RNG, right?
You like have to like straight up stop hitting the boss and like
You have to
missing
go
out
and
on a
pick it up.
couple attacks. Like it's not even it's not worth the 30% boss, right?
Yeah, maybe it lasts.
It's
is it
30.
It lasts 10
30
seconds then?
For 20 seconds. 30.
Oh,
30 boss
okay.
for 20 seconds.
I see,
But the thing is, you would use it like a CM would pop that shit earlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you'd probably
wouldn't
pop it
do
way
in the middle
earlier.
of burst.
Yeah. It still does make your burst a lot more annoying if you're trying to like giga mid. But
Yeah.
to go back on the topic or get back on track about remasters,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's probably much too early to really see how the remaster affected Aran and Shade.
Mm-hmm.
I think from what I can tell from the Aran remasters, that they're shifting the damage around on Aran. They're
Mm-hmm.
kind of drawing away power from Hunter's Prey and putting more of that power into just the adrenaline state itself. So, when you're in adrenaline right now, your Beyond Blade, which is your main attacking skill, it gains more damage. Like, just there's more lines to it. If you get the 6 job, it just I don't remember exactly how it works, but your non-6 job Beyond Blade when you're in adrenaline, it just has a bigger AoE and it just hits more line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's pretty much the same thing when you're in 6 job, except you have like the Maha thing now attached to it. But for the Shade remaster, I think the reason why people are so hung up on it is that it's because it's scaled down to like 2 minutes / 1 minute burster now. The numbers on it have been switched around too and swapped
Mm-hmm.
around. So I think I saw someone earlier in chat say that Shade is a burst class. So that's definitely going to feel bad because it's kind of like the Arc situation now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where Arc was a 4-minute class, its 4-minute burst was pretty decent for the fact that it was
Mhm.
4 minutes. But when they universally like made all those 4-minute classes 2 minutes instead,
Yeah.
they scaled the power down too much on Arc.
Yeah. Arc became
Right,
so shit that first update.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't until several patches later, like the Savior update, that it really, it pushed Arc to the very top of 2
Mhm.
minutes, right? It's so high up there that it's even better than some 3-minute classes, right?
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that happening and being true for Shade as well, right? Because it's a pretty similar situation where it was a pretty good burster for a 2-minute class, but its abilities got scaled down to 1 minute 2-minute cycles. Again, it's still in KMST, so there can be still opportunities for Nexon to change it. And I think that even after KMST and it goes live, and if it's still not as good as people want it to, I don't think Nexon is like unwilling to look at the data and the player satisfaction.
Yeah.
Still make changes, right?
I agree. I don't think it would stay bad. There's no way.
I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, like all the Doomers, like if what they're saying is true, I'm not gonna lie, like there's no way Shade remains the same like the way it is, because
Yeah.
people have been saying that Shade loses legit like 40 to 50 FD, and that's not something that I think would. I didn't think that would go live, right? Like, I was like, okay, that's not gonna make it past KMSC. No way the class is gonna be that weak. But if
Mhm.
that ever did make it live, that's something that I feel like would get fixed ASAP, because it's like new and shiny. Like they're gonna get word of it being ass, and they're gonna fix it, right? Like the
Mhm.
Doomers are gonna come out if it goes live. I think it's gonna be something that's taken care of immediately.
Yeah.
But-
I
Yeah.
agree. There's no way
So-
that shit stays that way.
There's also going to be a new learning curve, right? Like, it's how it is right now with the AB remaster. AB remaster, or before the remaster, AB you would only ring swap every burst, right?
Mhm.
Every 2-minute cycle. But now on AB, because your mascot is usable every minute, if you really wanted to push the limits of your class as AB, you would be ring swapping every single time you have
Mighty mascot up?
the mascot
Mhm.
on. Although like you could just settle for like a continuous setup where you're in your solo play, but for in your party play, that's where you can actually like really maximize the numbers of your class.
Mhm.
Because let's just say you have something like a mech and BAM in your party where you just have permanent FD uptime, like that is your time to shine as an AB to min-max that damage, ring swap as many times as you can. Because I don't
Mhm.
think every AB is doing that right now, because it's a new learning curve. They didn't have to do that before. Also, our ring swapping this patch has gone better. It's not exactly 1-to-1 with KMS right now. Touch
Mhm.
damage will still prevent you from swapping, but in every other aspect where like summons won't keep you in combat so that you can't ring swap, that was a big pain point for ABs, because your soul seekers would keep you in combat, right?
Mhm.
Your spotlight would keep you in combat. Like, not that you would ring swap in that, but like there's just so many things about AB that would allow you from ring swapping that it could take up to 20 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if ring swapping in a party would even be worth it. Or like AB, because you'd have to do like 5 rings, right?
You would have to find a way to swap a lot of times, yeah. It'd be pretty
Yeah, so
tough.
like the high end rings, like it'd be worth it. But then when you start getting to like the really bad rings, I feel like it would just like the and plus the time to swap the rings, right? Like you're not swapping instantly. You're taking a few seconds from hitting the boss to swap them. I feel like if you really wanted to like min-max it, it would probably be better just to run the count ring. Like the count ring is actually like really, really good for
I mean, AB
for
could
like
always...
damage on full rotation.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I feel like AB could swap guaranteed with Sparkle Burst, though. You just save the iframe to swap. But then you don't have your iframe, I guess.
No, you use that for damage now.
Well, no, but yeah, when you press it, it blows up, right? And it does damage. But then the iframe itself is separate. Or you iframe to do damage. Is that what you're saying?
No. So the thing is, I think when you press Sparkle Burst for the damage, you have a timing window when you can press it again for the iframe.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
your burst is done by then, though. After the 30 seconds.
Not during your origin.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
During your origin, your seekers get changed. You get like a 30-second buff where your seekers are empowered.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why, from what I've seen, like, I've seen some AB sweats. They'll swap to Risk Taker during the origin because it's a 40-second ring. They actually get the entire value of popping it during origin. Your spotlight disappears eventually, and you still will have a good amount of your Risk Taker for the empowered Soul Seekers that origin gives you.
Yeah. Okay, do we want to talk about what the future remasters will be? What we think it'll be?
Yeah, so I actually like. Okay, so a lot of people might disagree, or they'll all say like, "Oh, why is Iran and Shade getting remastered? This, that, whatever." Right? I feel like these classes were the 2 perfect ones to get remastered because some of the other classes, the heroes specifically that needed to get remastered, need way more than just like what Iran and Shade got. Right? Like that was mainly like a visual rework and like a bit to the playstyle, right? But I think like classes like Lumi and Phantom need everything from the bottom up completely revamped because they're just fundamentally like bad. Like how the classes work, it's so bad that I feel like they needed to take their time with. Like look at Phantom, right? They rely on the Explorer skills. They would have to give them an entire kit from drop 1 through 4 to like, you know, kind of get rid of that and give them their own identity. And I feel like something like that takes a lot of time, right? And the same with Luminous, right? You have the whole light and dark thing. These are like essentially 2 completely different skill sets. I feel like they really, really wanted to take their time with Lumi and Phantom without ruining their current identity. So I think going for Iran and Shade first was good on Nexon's end. That way they can do a really good job with what I assume is going to be Lumi and Phantom next.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I don't think I disagree with that. I think a lot of the decisions that are being made by Nexon right now is definitely because of the budget that they're working with. It's very clear to me that if Nexon were to increase their budget on development of the game, that this whole 1 year of nothing from our perspective could have been and would have been avoided very easily, right? But even if Nexon increased their budget and they're hiring more hires, like that still takes time for them to find the employees they need, train them for the environment that they're going to be working in, right? Get them into the company culture. That typically takes like 3 months at least for that to be true, right? So Nexon would have been like they would have been hiring and expanding their team 3 months ago in order for this 1 year patch that we're getting that to not have been the way it is. I agree with the whole Phantom thing. I think at this point Nexon has realized that okay, they really got to just fucking rip off this band-aid of what Phantom is. Like
Yeah.
the whole explorer stealing skill gimmick was cool, but the moment that they got to the point where they needed to just remove specific explorer skills from being able to be stolen, like that's when I think they realized that okay, this is a failed project.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seemed cool on paper, it was cool at the very start, but now like we just have this monster of a thing that they just can't balance properly, right? Like the craziest thing to me is that I think a lot of dual blades would agree with me that the during the remaster, the fact that DB's Final Cut didn't even get any quality life, like making the FD a passive or like removing the max HP cost or anything to just make it better in any capacity outside of just changing the way it visually looks.
You're talking about during Destiny?
Yeah, during Destiny, yes, during Destiny is because Phantom exists and the fact that
Mhm.
Phantom steals it. Right?
Yeah.
I think Nexon really needs to just go all in on this idea of Phantom is he's a magician. He's a cardistry, right?
Mhm.
He works with tricks and like he could be like the Loki of MapleStory, right?
Mhm.
Like they really need to all in on this idea and character design of like, okay, this guy just plays with cards, you know, maybe fucking pull hats, tricks from a hat or some shit.
Yo,
Like
that's
maybe
a
something like,
bird out of a hat, bro.
yeah, maybe not something so goofy, but like just like you know, all in on the idea of like a magician in the
Yeah.
form of an act, a
Mhm.
performer, you know.
Right. It's I mean it's not like they said that they're just not gonna do that though, right? It's like you said, they with the current amount of, working force that they have, current resources they have, we went a year without anything because I feel like, New Age was a big update. And then I feel like the update that's coming, the trail of updates in KMS Summer that's coming is pretty big, right? And I feel like
Mhm.
if they were to somehow try and fit Phantom in there, I feel like Phantom in itself is already like so big that they would require even more resources than they currently have, or they would have to delay the update, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like everything that you said about Phantom, I feel like that might actually come true. Like they're gonna do all that, like they're gonna make it this magician with cards and nothing to do with explorers in any way whatsoever, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think it takes a little more time because Phantom really is so like it's such a jank class, man, and it needs a lot of help. And Nexon's already releasing a lot of new content, and I think they just need to take their time with this one.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we can expect when that remaster happens is I don't think all these iframes that Phantom has are going to stick around.
Oh yeah.
Thank God.
Because I mean maybe it does, like from Mark of the Phantom or whatever it's called. I think that will
Mhm.
probably stay because it's a fit job skill. Like
Right.
it's a pretty like big iconic skill for Phantoms, right?
Mhm.
But the class will be so much better, which is ironic to say, but the class will just be so much better if they didn't have to steal Cross Surge and Final Cut.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
those are two skills that it's like Phantom has this. The current Phantom is the idea that you steal Explorer skills, and then you can like change up your roster of skills as needed. But you're always going to be giga locked into Cross Search and Final Cut every single time, unless you're training. Maybe you swap out your Final Cut for like the Cannon Master mobbing skill or like I don't even know what else they would use, like the Pathfinder one I think as well.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
used the PF first job.
Yeah, so it's like removing Final Cut is like one big step first because
Mhm.
that being one of the main sources of their final damage is a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's a bad thing because it just means the Phantoms is just always going to be locked into Final Cut for bosses,
Mhm.
right? There was a niche situation where early Saren days, like Phantoms with enough buff
Showdown, bruh.
duration, yeah, they would swap they would Final Cut whenever they can. They'll swap to Showdown, apply Showdown, and then yeah, they're just on Showdown until they can
Oh
swap back to
hell.
Final Cut for the rebuff again, right?
Mhm.
Like that was kind of cool, right? But at the same time, it didn't really feel good to be that as a Phantom, right? When your only value outside of the class of being Phantom was to be a Showdown meal, you were losing out on a whole 40 FT if you didn't have enough buff duration. Like that just felt like ass.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's give a final prediction on what the next remasters are gonna be. So you think Lumi and Phantom? Yeah, I'm gonna throw a curveball. I'm gonna say it's not gonna be Lumi and Phantom. So I think it's gonna be the MapleStory Heroes. I think they're gonna do 2 at a time. But I don't think they're gonna do Lumi and Phantom next, bro. I think they're gonna do Merc and Evan. Which, to be honest with you, like, I don't know how I feel about those, but I think it's gonna be those 2. Cause I feel like those 2 are so good already.
Yeah.
They're very unique too.
I think if that's how you see it, what could potentially happen is, if Nexon's ahead of schedule, they could maybe squeeze in like a visual update and address some of the pain points of those classes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I personally feel like this whole CD skip meta on Evan is not gonna stick around.
Mm-hmm.
If and when Evan gets remastered, I think that's like a really, I don't know if Nexon actually likes the idea of that for Evan.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's I think for a lot of Evan players it does make the class a lot more fun. Because it's just like it's like whack-a-mole to the next level, except not really at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people will really enjoy that kind of playstyle, but I would also think that it's also a pretty polarizing playstyle too. Because up until like before that one update where they changed it so that what was it, like 70% of the 70% of the FD of the fusion skills was shifted towards the very beginning instead of like more even throughout the whole duration of the fusion. That's why it made CD skip meta, right? Because you would just fusion, get majority of the damage off, and then fusion to a different one instead. And if you got CD skip, you just keep cycling way faster.
Yeah, so I can definitely see Evan being the next one to get remastered because it seems like Nexon cares more about, you know, like, will this make the players play it more? If yes, okay, cool, let's do it. They just want the class to seem cool, so more people play it. And I can see them doing Evan because of that. The only reason I wouldn't see them doing that is because, like, I know Evan's good. Like, if you play this game, everyone knows Evan is really good, right? But I don't think they care about that. Like, they just want more people to play the class, and they're, you know, and they'll probably rework it to do so. And yeah, like if I was to swap out like Lumi, I would put Evan in the my prediction for the next one to get remastered. But I would still say Phantom will probably get remastered next.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Honestly, my curveball is that I don't even think it's gonna be another set of heroes.
Yeah, I can see that too. Doesn't have to be.
I can 100% see him doing like 2 resistances instead. Right.
Honestly, I'd take that over the heroes. So.
Yeah, I think we all got so comfortable because everyone was like predicting beforehand, right? Like, oh, it's gonna be hero remaster, this, that, whatever. So we kind of like, so after that was validated, I feel like people started to buy more and more into it. So like, I think it's not odd to say like there definitely is a possibility that they just go a completely different route, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just do resistance or something.
And again, it just kind of ties back to the whole budget thing. Like, they tried to do a whole ass branch with Explorers and Sickness Knights, and we saw how big of a gap certain classes were within themselves in terms of like which classes got so much love during the remaster and which didn't. Right? Like and when we look at Explorers, like the Explorer mage skills look so visually, like Ice Lightning skills looked insane. Like they didn't even look like they belonged in the game. Like that's how different they looked. Like different in a good way, right? And then you look at like some classes, like I don't even know. I don't want to say dual blade because it just seems like I'm always pointing things up with that class, but I'm sure that for some of the other
NL didn't change at all in Dreamer or in Destiny. Like no visual upgrade.
I mean, Showdown got different.
Yeah,
Showdown changed, but like that's it.
The marks are different.
Didn't they have like the cage thing too? That was like ugly as fuck.
Oh, you're talking about
different.
Oh yeah, they changed.
Shadow Partner got different.
Yeah, but that's just the thieves in general. I guess I was only
My-
thinking of like their burst, but
Yeah.
frailty curse changed too. Yeah. That's
Oh
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like they tried this before by remastering a whole branch, and like we just saw how like some classes just got way more effort put into it compared to others. Right?
Mhm.
Like you look at Dawn Warrior, it's like like I'm pretty sure everyone was like pogging the fuck out when they saw Dawn Warrior
Yeah.
skills
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
they like no pun, but like they literally look out of this world,
Mhm.
legit. Like their Dark Flare type skill looks so beautiful.
Yeah. And their burst. The Rift of Damnation, big purple swipes.
Yeah. And then you look at Mihao.
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit off topic, but I feel like Mihao's main attacking skill when they're bursting, I can't understand why it will hold similarities to Dawn Warrior because of the lore,
Mhm.
but I think it needs to be more, what's it called? More unique, more
It looks like you're spreading butter.
yeah, it doesn't really look that great. I think they could have done the visuals a little bit better. It looks like like they copied the homework of Wind Archer's like cape attack, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does look like that. And they made it yellow.
Yeah, they made it yellow and then they made it like a little bit more linear,
Mhm.
like a fucking cheese string. But yeah, again, it goes back to the whole budget thing where like they tried doing a whole branch. They didn't have the resources to make every single one successful.
Mhm.
And it makes a lot of people that played that class super upset because they had their chance to get remastered and to fix things that should have been fixed, and not all
Mhm.
things got fixed or addressed for those classes that got remastered already. But because Nexon already like gave them like, you know, an opportunity or whatever, and they failed on it, it's like, who knows when the next time they're gonna address those issues for those classes again.
Exactly, yeah. Like that was their moment, right?
Like
Reminds me of like
they're-
Shadow or Maso passive, right? It's like if they were gonna get rid of it, bro, it would have been on Destiny.
Yep. Exactly. So any long-standing issues that still exist on Explorers right now, most likely not going to get addressed for a while because you already had a remaster, and the purpose of a remaster was to address those pain points. So if it was glossed over or wasn't addressed properly, then it's just like Nexon just didn't have the time, no resources, the budget wasn't
Mhm.
big enough to support the idea. So since they're doing remasters in pairs now, they recognize that okay, they bit more than they could chew.
Mhm. Yeah,
And-
initially they said they were gonna do one at a time as well. So I'm surprised we got even a pair in the first place.
Yeah, and again, like I don't like how comfortable we are as a community that we're just accepting the fact that oh yeah, like Nexon's budget isn't big enough to do these big projects they want to do. It's like I don't
What
think we should be excusing them of the
what
fact
can
that
we do about it though? Like what can we
I-
do about that? Like their budget isn't
wouldn't-
big enough.
I wouldn't say it's that much of an issue where we have to like revolt against Nexon, because you have to look at it like when they were doing full branch class remasters, it was a different time. Like it was so much different. The content that they were pushing out back then, like the event, like for Ignition, the whole event was literally dedicated to like, you know, just the remastering of Cygnus Knights. Look at the upcoming event. It's 2 remasters in it, but they're also releasing like, you know, a new area, like all these other things, right? And in order for them to, you know, they probably had to expand their team already to do just that, right? Like to remaster classes, do new areas,
Mhm.
like all the other things that they added. They probably did have to expand their team for that. So we can't really expect them to do even more, right? Like they're already giving us so much more than before. We can't be constantly in this need for more and more and more and more and more, because this is the type of behavior that's eventually going to lead into dooming, right? They
Mhm.
give us something good.
That's
We can't just keep feeding into it and expecting them to give us more, because they're already like piling up onto the things that they're doing, right? Like think about how long they went without releasing a new boss, right? Like think about how long they usually do that. Now they're releasing a new boss and then some, right? Like they're releasing a new boss, new area. Look at Six Job, right? Like they're releasing a whole new job, like job advancement with area on top of area on top of area. So I feel like what they're already doing is part of them having already expanded their team.
I think a counterpoint to that is the fact that the reason why we're seeing, or it appears that way, is sure we can. There's no way we can really know that they did or didn't expand their party of like devs and whatnot, right? And creatives behind the ideas, but they gave us longer than a one update preview during the showcase. Usually we only get a few things to look at. Like we don't have like this big foresight into the future of what the next year actually looks like. Usually we only have like an idea of like what comes 6 months from now. Not what comes 12 months from now, 9 months from now, right? Like they themselves said that like here are the updates that you guys are going to get to see right now in the next 2 months, right? And also here are some other things that we're working on coming afterwards, right? But we can't show you everything because it's still work in progress. When they introduced like the new Angler Corp Epic Dungeon, that was something that they announced for sure. Like they know for sure they're going to do this idea, and they're actually working on it right now. But also there was like another area, another planet that got introduced,
a whole new
and they
like,
weren't
dimension.
really. Yes, they weren't even able to like show too much besides like a couple NPCs and monsters that belong to the area. And that what we think is, or what it appears to be when they were teasing it, is just like it's just another dimension, but its purpose is going to replace Ursus, is what the idea is. They're probably using that as an opportunity to rebalance what Ursus failed to do, or what like readdress it in the way that they want to because of the meso cap and whatnot. But again, like that is one of those moments where it's like they know they're going to be working on this. They can't show us too much, but that who knows if Nexon was always working on like that type of what's it called, long-term planning before. It's just the difference this time is that we as the players are tuning in, like they're sharing that with us this time, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was always this way. It's just that we were always kind of kept in the dark.
No, it's always been that way for sure. There's no game company that only works like 2-3 month timelines. Like they have stuff planned out at least a year and a half, 2 years ahead from now already.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I'm saying like it appears that way, that we got a lot, but also right.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I feel like it also comes off to me at like you're expecting the worst, right? That's how I see it, because when they announce something like a new dimension thing, right? I don't see it as like, oh, it's just gonna be a replacement to Ursus. I see it as something that could be potentially really good, right? And I think it's best to just, see it as all new content. It could all be really good. It's not very. I just wouldn't like pre-doom about it, right? I'm not saying you're dooming, but I'm saying like a lot of the community does kind of do this pre-dooming where they go too deep into the speculation of what future content is when we're kind of in the dark about it, and then their expectations are so low and they doom about it. I think it's best to just take it for what it is. It's upcoming content that we're in the dark about. There's a lot of stuff we can be excited for, and at the very least, we should give them benefit of the doubt.
No, I wasn't dooming.
It's always been this way, bro.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're dooming. I'm just saying like it's best to not go too deep into speculation for what we're in the dark about.
I don't even think like it is too big of like a what's it called, like. I don't think I'm like drinking so much the Kool-Aid right now, right? Like I think during the showcase that was how they described it, or like it's what they were alluding to, that this would be another source of meso. So that's why people drew comparisons to it as, oh, it will be like something similar to Ursus. And it's relevant because our server not getting the meso cap and changes, right, and crystal changes, but we're still getting high mountain. Like, did they completely remove the meso gain entirely for Epic Dungeon and Rec Server and Reboot for us, or is there still EXP and is it just EXP and fragments for us? Because I know they didn't.
XP and frags for us, and that's it.
Okay. So what that would mean for us is if that world does turn out to be like another meso accruing type shit for players, then for us that just means okay, it'll be more EXP and fragments for us.
Yep.
Instead.
Which I'll take, bro. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably just gonna always just adjust things that work best for us. We've been talking about this for a while, by the way.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot to cover.
Yeah. So do we want to move on to the next topic?
Um
Or any
Yeah.
other thoughts about remasters?
No.
Okay. So next topic is the new pitched and the new exceptional enhancement. So we saw in the milestone showcase that there was going to be a new pitch set, right? With that new item, the Whisper of Suffering from Limbo. And it's very interesting because not only is there going to be a new pitch set, there's a lot of implications that come with that. You know, new pitch set that's going to replace the old pitch set. Everybody thought that pitch was going to be forever, and you can invest in it all you want. And it kind of changes the way you view certain items and how important they are if you think for the super long term. Now, granted that ring, since we have 4 slots, like it doesn't really change anything. Like the pitch still is best in slot for the time being. So, and it would take a very long time to get because we don't even know anything about Limbo. We don't know what level it is, how hard it is, or anything like that. It's going to take a really long time just to get that one item. But what's very interesting is they also changed the way that the exceptional enhancements work, right? Like, you can have 3 of them on the one item, and then you could remove it from your current item to put it on the new pitched item, which makes the new pitched item, like, so insanely strong. It makes that item, like, almost like a 25-star item. Like, it's crazy how strong it is now. So what do we think about the new pitched enhancement? Like, for the hyper endgame. Do you think that's going to make the new pitch easier to get? Or the current pitch easier to get?
For me personally, when I saw this update, it made me like really happy because it showed that they're pretty much pushing the ceiling of what the current gear cap is, right? And they were saying like, hey, like we're releasing this new set, and you know it's pretty safe to assume that there's gonna be a bunch of items for it, right? So that means there's gonna be all these new bosses for it, and also with X Lotus, I have to assume I don't know because I didn't really look too deeply into what X Lotus drops or what the drop rate for the Berserk from Extreme Lotus is, but I have to assume that it's a lot more common, right? So I'm assuming that they're going to go into the direction of making these harder variants to make the current pitched boss set more accessible if you're willing to reach that, you know, Giga endgame.
I see. Like Saren with the the emblem.
Exactly. So I have to imagine that the drop rate would increase to make it more accessible as like kind of a reward, like not really a pity system, but it is a pity system because the pity system is if you get this strong, like, or you made it this far, you definitely earned the chance to, or the increased chance to get the pitch boss, right? Because I think that's fair, right? Pretty unhealthy for some guy to be level 290 and 3-set pitch, and you have some dude on Hyperion who's 6-set, right? So I do like the direction they're going. It just shows that they're future-proofing the game for like multiple years in advance, right? It's not even like 1 to 2 years in advance. Like this seems like a 5 to 10 year kind of plan. So yeah, it's exciting for me.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
I would say that what's interesting is that the way that they're going to release the items is probably going to be based around what items can coexist right away. So we got the ring first, right? And that's going to directly replace their Meister ring. KMS's best in slot items are going to be ET, the new ring, Slime ring, and then their 4th ring being their Oz ring, right? So that leads me to believe that the next item they're going to release is going to be something that can coexist with what exists right now. So it'll be a pendant that replaces their daybake, so that your source and that new pendant that comes out will be your best in slot pendant, right? And eventually, you know, there will be, I don't know, there will be a badge, there will be a book, there will be the earrings, the belt. I don't think there's gonna be a new heart for a very, very long time. If anything, it'll be probably one of the last items to get released.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I also feel like an emblem will be one of the last items to be released as well, because WC is a really big meso sink for everyone, right?
Oh, I feel like they're gonna release the Eternal secondary and just, you know, do a whole nother like Jenny weapon type shit all over again.
Yeah, probably be related to the Darmor, like another like
Yeah.
liberation process type shit.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I wanted to address is that the new enhancement, right? The fact that you can take it away from your pitch boss and reapply it to the new item instead. That's pretty insane. If I were to imagine what the cost would be like, I would probably think that it's probably similar price to how much it costs to upgrade your Ozring right now, right? It's 500 mil if you only use one stone. What they could probably do is maybe for the first hammer that you use, it's the cheapest, but then every subsequent hammer you apply to it afterwards, it gets more expensive. That's something they could do. Because that way it makes it so that someone can just buy 3 right away. It'll be like really expensive. Like, not only is it going to be a rare item, but you have to pay the fee of the how rare it is from the auction house. But also you have to pay the fee of applying it as well, right? On top of that, it's like if you were one of the lucky few people to get your hands on that new ring, right? I would say you probably don't need to feel pressure to go past 17. The reason why I say that is because each enhancement is kind of like 1 star. So from now until then, if you're lucky enough to have had, actually not even from now because the item doesn't exist yet, but when they do release that ring enhancement, if you save up 3 of them and you apply all 3 onto a 17-star ring, it will be like a pseudo 20-star ring.
Yeah, and it's a level
Right.
250 ring, so the stats on it are crazy.
Yes. So you don't have to feel pressure to like Star Force it past 17 right away. Like, you could just sit on your hands, wait for enhancements to get it to pseudo 20-star, wait for more spares before you want to do it then. But that's an interesting way to address like the players that are unwilling to go past 17 right away because it's so rare. Like, you could sit on it and just get the enhancements instead. The importance of the enhancements now is actually crazy for us, because for any enhancements that can drop right now in Reboot, you want, if in the most ideal world, you want to cut down as many people as you can from looting. Like, dead
funny.
ass, like, you already have people who are duoing XBM, so that there's only 50-50 blink on the Black Mage enhancements, right? I think after second Mastery Core, my party's probably going to split our Extern party.
Yeah.
Just so that we have better chances and odds at getting enhancement between all of us. Unfortunately, I don't think I can split my XPM any further. But that's just like how it is when you're in the hyper end game of Chronos, or like just any server. Like, you will want that's the perk of being stronger. If you're as strong as Mathwell or Shapaz, like, you will be in a position where you just gotta find a bishop to buddy up with, and you just duel bosses and split the loot with them.
Yeah, shit's crazy. I can't wait to see what the set effect's gonna be on it, because the set effect, there's no way it's not gonna be insane as well. Like, it's such a huge power power increase, like that set of equips, and obviously they released the rest of Eternals as well. Such a huge power increase. Like, I feel like the bosses that we have right now, like Kalos, Kaling, Saren, like the bosses Limbo and onward, are just gonna be a whole different level. Like, they're gonna be way harder. Like, a big gap.
What
I
I
think
could see being true is they might make the first two uh the two set really really big right away,
Yeah.
and then like dampen it down the line, just like how they did it with Eternals, right? Like when you have top hat pants done, that's like the most FD you can get from Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you finish shoulder, like you just get 40 attack and 20 IAD, and then like the stat difference of the shoulder between Arcane and Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually like more assuming that they would actually not release a too insane set effect, right? I'm actually more in favor of them just releasing like the standard run-of-the-mill 10 attack, 10 boss, and scaling up, eventually giving you like 15 attack. I'd imagine they would do that because, um, the items are level 250, right? Like they're already giving
Mm-hmm.
so much stat in itself, and these also aren't um, guaranteed items like Eternals. They're a privilege to have, right? And I feel like it would feel really really bad to get for them to double down on the gap between you having this item versus not having the item. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna go too crazy with the set effect. I think the item being level 250 alone is more than enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree, to be honest with you. Like, I see what you're
Yeah, I
saying.
disagree.
I see what you're saying, but like, they've always done it this way. Like, anytime there's a new set and the items are really high level, like, think of the difference from like Abso to Arcane. Like 160 item versus 200 item. Like, the Arcane set effect is way higher than the Abso. And then the Eternal set versus Arcane set, like the Eternal set is way higher. And again,
Yeah.
like from pitch to level 250 pitch, like it's just gonna be higher pitch set. Like whatever the pitch
Yeah.
set is right now, like it's just gonna be higher. Like right now, 2-set pitch is like 10 attack, 10 boss, 10 all stat. So we're gonna be like 20 all stat, 20 attack, 20 boss. Like just like higher.
Yeah. I'm not making this assumption based off of what's happened before. I'm just saying I would assume that they might go into this direction, like despite them not having done this before.
It's possible, but I don't know. I just doubt it.
Yeah.
It's because like this whole new item set effect is for the end gamers. This whole new item set is for the end gamers, right? Like,
Yeah.
it has to be that much better than what it's replacing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you look at Eternals right now, when they tease that, okay, this patch we're also releasing the rest of the Eternal set, cape, shoe, glove. People are excited about this, but I don't think people realize just how hard it is to exactly how hard it is to replace your current arcanes with
Mhm.
the new Internals. Like
Exactly.
you unironically need to go 22 star. Like that extra 15% boss per set upgrade,
Mhm.
it doesn't exactly cover what you're losing from the arcane set.
Mhm.
I think it was
Another
like
thing to
40
keep in
attack
mind,
as well from the set.
yeah,
a lot.
Another thing to keep in mind is that we in GMS have the perk of getting the higher tier potentials on 160 items and 200 items. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like on KMS, they're getting 1299 potential still on their arcanes, but
Mm-hmm.
we get that already on our arcane, so that makes it even harder for us to replace it.
Yeah.
It was already hard to begin with, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait, do they have the 13 10 10 on Eternals?
Yes.
Yeah,
They
they do.
only
Oh,
have that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It'll be pretty tough to replace the arcanes, but that's how it is, bro. That's how it is when new shit comes out. It's really hard to replace it, and that's how it's gonna be. It's like the same cycle over and over again.
Also, a little off topic, but anyone that's trying to 23-star pitched, you'll only want to try on ET and Source, because everything else will get you replaced eventually.
Yeah.
You can have your fun still if you want to do it, but
Mm-hmm. ET and Source are your best bets on that. Especially the Source. I feel like Source is like the highest probability out of all of them.
it is the highest. Yes,
Yeah.
I can confirm.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about our next subject. Now this one's very interesting, cause I don't know, maybe we're gonna have different opinions on it. So the next subject is classes that have bad V skills to enhance with their 6 job frags. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, how do we feel about it? So for example, like Shadower doesn't have to upgrade their Assaulter past level 1 necessarily, right? Like, you don't really need to. Kana, for example, right? Like, Kana, fucking half their skills don't do anything for Hexa, right? Heroes World Reaver, that's another one. Whereas a class like Hayato, I have to upgrade all of my skills because they're all very important, right? So it's like, how do we feel about this? Like, is this just bad design, or like what can they do to fix it or anything like that? Because for me, so I'll start. For me, I feel like it's good for like casuals, like that don't farm that much or anything like that, because they'll get most of their damage out of the way. Like, I feel like Shadower is just like even more beginner friendly just because they don't have to get as many hexes as somebody else. But I feel like for the sweats, it's actually not a good thing, because you would rather have as much damage as possible. So a class like Hayato scales way better later into the game, because we just, every single time we get frags, like, we are directly getting stronger. There's no like limit, basically.
Oh, first of all, I think it's a temporary problem, right? Eventually everything's going to be maxed. And also, I think that even if you have 4 boostable skills from your Hexa, that doesn't necessarily mean that you scale more, because the classes are, balanced to sometimes only have 2 important skills, right? Let's look at Night Lord, right? If you have a Night Lord who had max throw blasting, max spread throw, max mastery core, and like level 0 everything else, he's already gaining like 90 to 95% of his efficiency from it, right? And just because a class has 4, like Hayato, 4 like usable skills that all benefit its entire full rotation, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gaining more than the Night Lord, right? Like, just because it has the 4 skills. So I think the only problem lies within it being a temporary problem, where, like for Shadower, I would have to spend more frags than the Night Lord, because before I would have had to max my mastery, my origin, and my 3 V skills to have a high amount of efficiency from Hexa. So it might seem like the Shadower with equal gear and like 7k frags versus 7k frags is significantly weaker. I'm just not at that efficiency breakpoint yet, and it's just a temporary problem.
Yeah, but now you got me thinking that this shit is unfair, bro. Like, I have to farm so much more just to keep up with a Night Lord that only needs 2 skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have to farm like double their frags.
It's definitely it's unfair, but it's a temporary problem. Like, classes who get the biggest chunk of their efficiency from Hexa the soonest, because they only need like their mastery and like 1 or 2 skills. Some classes don't even need their mastery, right? Like, they just straight up need like way less. Yeah, they do, it's just better, right? It's just straight up better. A class that has more boostable skills doesn't have anything to be happy about. They just straight up have to work harder.
Do you think the average person's gonna get max frags?
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either, right? So then it makes these classes that need to boost all 4 skills just like worse, kind of.
Yeah,
because it's like, why would you play that, bro? Like, I'll just play something that doesn't need as many frags and still gap you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, you play Night Lord, you max, like I said, you max the mastery and the 2 V skills. You basically have everything ready, right? Like, you have those max, and you have the same gear as a Shadower. Like, same gear, same Hexa as the Shadower. That Night Lord is way stronger than the Shadower. Way stronger. Pumping way more damage, because the Shadower is going to be running around with like level 10 V skills. He's going to have nothing.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on it is, if we're looking at it objectively, we need to look at it purely from a numbers standpoint. You would need to see how, like, every single class obviously has 6 job. No, like, including Lin now, Fog. But not every single class gets the same amount of FD from maxing job. So you need to extrapolate how much FT one class gets from finishing 6 job, and look at their efficiency breakpoints, like Taco said, and then compare that to another class that has, also different efficiency breakpoints, but look at how much total FT they get from finishing and not finishing, right? Like so for Kana, right? I've been told by my Kana, my party, Taco's jeans.
Yeah,
Crazy
chills.
coincidence, but when he says that with Max Shinigami Haunting, which is their first mastery core, Max Origin, Max Circle, that the last 3 skills being Domain,
Yuki.
Oni Lord, and Yuki, like those only account for like maybe 2 FD.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you have the first 3 skills I mentioned max already, you already have received 98% of the FD you would have gotten from 6 job as a Kana. That's only like barely over 10k frags. Whereas the whole total is 20k frags, like 20.1 or something, like 184 or something. Like,
Yeah.
You telling me that halfway point of the frags frags needed, that you're already at 98% FD gained? Without looking at the numbers entirely, like that looks like a really good deal, right? But you would have to find out, like, okay, how much FD does Kana get in total? Like not like from like 0 to 100, right? And then compare that to something like Hayato, where you need to boost every single skill, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think you don't always want to be looking at just raw FD gain relative from, if you're only comparing each class's relative FD that they gain from 6 job, because not every class is the same, right? Like, what if Nightwalker only gained like 40% FD from 6 job, but Buck gained like 70%? The Nightwalker is still doing more damage, and it's just still the better class, right? Because the amount of damage they were already doing was so high that them gaining less from 6 job wouldn't necessarily matter that much, right? And there's also things to take account for with Kana, for example. It's pretty hard to calculate the amount of damage gained from class to class and how good it is just from the origin itself, right? Like, I feel like Kana's origin is pretty good, especially with how it functioned with Sakuno's, right?
It doesn't.
Does it not?
Oh wait, no. It doesn't work with mana overload, is what I meant to say. But continue.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm just saying, like, it's too hard to compare class to class, especially from when talking about, like, from an efficiency standpoint, right? Because like, while other classes gain more from 6, some of these classes weren't very good to begin with, so they could gain 200% FD and still get gapped by a lot of classes.
I think the importance of efficiency is within the context of how many more hours someone is farming.
Yeah.
Right. It is like a temporary problem, but as Duky pointed out, like, how many people are actually going to be able to farm enough hours that they max out their 6 job, right?
Most people are not gonna have max frags. I don't even think most people are gonna have half frags, bro.
It kind of goes back to like how the V Matrix was. Like, there was also like the same idea, like, okay, like, how many node stones does this class need to be have to be at a really strong point, right? Very early on in 5th job, it was like the same idea. Some skills, their cooldowns were super shit unless you had it maxed out, and then the cooldowns were fine, right? Like, you look at Shadow Walker, its duration was bad for early levels, and the cooldown was really bad at 190 randomly, right? Like, same with Spread Throw too. Spread Throw was so ass unless you had a lot of levels into it.
Yeah. Well, it still is ass unless you have a lot of levels into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Again, like, it is a temporary problem, but I think the sheer amount of hours is I think it's way harder to max out fragments now compared to maxing out node stones, right? Back then.
Yeah, of course, it's way harder. No drop rates, in fact, were even higher back then. They had to literally nerf no drop rates. People had tens of thousands of notes. Like, it was crazy.
It's spawn enhancer too.
Yeah. Exactly. Kill rates were like 30k an hour. Like, it was like insane. You know what's the other thing though is, like, there's still so much to be gained from 6 job that's not unlocked yet, right? Like,
yes.
the skills that we don't have yet could completely change everything. Like everything could change just from one skill release. Like think about like I'll give you an example. When first V Skills came out, a lot of classes like didn't even gain anything. For example, like Hayato, like we got Zonko, but it really didn't do anything. You couldn't animation cancel. You couldn't animation cancel out of it. It wasn't even an iframe. It gave you 700 energy, but there was nothing. And then second skill, we got Phantom Blade, which completely changed our entire class. Now we have to manage the skill. The gauge actually means something now. We gain 115 FD. Like, you never know. Like, with the upcoming skills, it could just completely change everything. So, even if a class needs more frags, a class could come out in the future and they have just level 1 of their new skill and they're just 40, 50 FD stronger, straight up.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Like we can look at the most. We can look at the last V skill that was ever released, 4th V. Like Night Lord's got fucking throw blasting. Like that skill alone changed history for the game, dude.
They cleared BM, right? Or was that did they clear before 4th V? Actually don't remember.
In KMS?
I could have sworn
in GMS.
Story. Like, I could have sworn you told a story about a Night Lord getting throw blasting and they did instantly clear BM. Like that's when they cleared.
I can't remember if I think that was the Excel party. I think when Excel party first cleared, it was right when 4th V came out and they instantly cleared. Like that's how strong throw blasting was right away. So
I mean that's probably like a neat situation, honestly. Like,
well, I mean, the point is like, the skill's really strong. Yeah, the point is the class just got way stronger after one skill. It was the same with 3rd V when Hero got Combo Instinct. Like all of a sudden, they got like 50 FD just from like one skill. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I could have sworn you said something about like a skill getting released and like somebody soloed like Dark Nail for the first time or something like that.
No. Night Lord soloed Dark Nail and Gloom and Lucid, all that, and Will like before 4th V.
Okay.
But stuff like that did happen, yes. Like when the 4th V came out, like a lot of things that weren't clearable instantly became clearable. So.
But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say, but when we're looking at like the raw FD gains and in terms of what the class gets in total relative to the percentage of completion, it is a temporary problem. But I think it was important to talk about in case people were like Giga Doom and that look, the Kana gets all their damage at 10k frags and I'm still over here farming another 10k on top of that just to get the same results. Not same results, but like same percentage of FD.
Yeah, percentage of FD, like it's very what's the word? Deceptive. It's very deceptive because you could be like, oh, I got 98% of my FD from my Hexa. It's like, okay, but how much FD does your Hexa give you total? Like 20? Like, I don't go fuck. You know what I mean? Like, whereas my 50% of FD from my Hexa and my Hexa gives me 80 FD total. Like, I got way stronger, even if I'm not done. So it's just very tricky. At the end of the day, you just gotta go farm, though. Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, go farm. Go get your frags up. So it doesn't change anything. You could do all the mental gymnastics, but like you gotta go farm.
It feels really bad because imagine being like an already shit class and you have 4 important V skills. That just must feel terrible. You know what I mean? Like you have the bad end of both worlds. Like not only are you already a shit class, but you have to boost every single skill just to get optimal damage.
I think I'm ready to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's move on to the next topic. This is a big one, to be honest, so I'm glad we still have like time. The next topic is what makes a class good or bad. This is a big conversation. Like what's good or bad, you know what I mean? So for me, if somebody were to ask me what makes a class good or bad, I would first of all ask them like what their intentions with the game is, right? Because it's like things are good and bad in different circumstances. And that's really all it boils down to is like, what's the current meta? What are you trying to accomplish, right? Like, what is good? Like, for example, Hayato is really good in Black Mage, right? Because you can have crazy high uptime and you could heal through a lot of the mechanics. And because P4 has a way to gain more final damage through the White Aura, and Hayato could do that easily, it's like, wow, it's so good in BM. So it's like, that makes Hayato super good. But then it's really bad in like Slime because you lose your stacks. Something stupid like that. So it's like, does that mean Hayato's bad? It's like, I don't know. It's good and bad in different places. And then there's another like way to look at good and bad is the class's kit. It's like, is this class good because it could fit in any scenario, fit in any party comp? That's one way of seeing if a class is good. Or is it bad because it's only a one trick situation? Like, it only does one thing and that's it, and like only has big bursts, and then other than bursts it's useless. But sometimes that could be good because some bosses you only need to burst, like in P2 Culling, for example. So good and bad is just so specific to certain circumstances. Or like if a class is non-KMS, right, that like automatically makes it probably worse in certain ways, because if you get a bug, it's probably going to take longer to fix than other classes. So it's just very weird, like what's good or bad, right? Something that I want to say though is, generally, if you're watching this video, or if you're watching another person's stream or another person's video, you're gonna very often see things good and bad. People are gonna talk about whether something is good and bad in the light of endgame, right? They're assuming that everybody understands that you're talking about endgame, but I mean, this is kind of a whole different conversation. But the endgame is like a whole different game in MapleStory. Like, good and bad in endgame is not good and bad in general. So it's very important to keep that in mind. But I mean, I'll let you guys talk about it. Like, I think you guys get my point. It's just very like circumstantial on what's good or bad.
I think a lot of people overrate what exactly makes a class bad, right? I feel like there's a lot more good classes than people think.
Yeah, I agree.
And because of what you said, you know, people overrating what they see on people's streams, like taking it like they're going to be endgame when 99% of the time you're not going to be endgame, and that's just the truth, right? It's like somebody told you that, for example, like if an NBA player told you that playing basketball this way is really bad, like you're not going to make it into the NBA playing like this, or when you're in the NBA playing like this, it's just going to be bad. Like, the shit doesn't matter, like every step going up to the NBA, right?
Exactly,
like,
right?
If
like,
it works,
when
like all
playing
the way
on the
up
street, it's gonna work, bro.
Yeah, and then if by an off chance you make it all the way to the NBA playing like that, you're still an NBA player, right? Not a very good one, but you're still there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the same with League, right? With challenger gameplay versus not challenger gameplay. Like in challenger, or like the LCS in particular, right?
Yeah, like
you're never gonna see a fucking Garen top in the LCS. Never. You're gonna see Aatrox. Right. You're gonna see all these like other like super LCS-esque like champs, right? But Garen can take you all the way to Grandmaster or even Challenger, right? It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
So it's just completely different worlds.
Actually, they did pick Garen top as a counter pick to what's his face, K'Sante. But you know, I'll let that slide.
My bad.
I'll let that slide. I think if we're going to use League of Legends as an example, I think one of the things you can draw as a comparison is someone that's one tricking versus someone that's not.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you one trick, you can get really far, but then you'll also learn that you just have really, really bad matchups that are just unavoidable unless you ban that champion. But you can't ban a whole ass boss, you know? You can't ban a whole ass class so that your class will shine.
Me banning
right?
Kalos.
But the point is that you'll start seeing the weaknesses of your class. If you're one tricking, like you'll see the weakness of your champion. And
Whoa.
there's only you can only be so good to make up for that weakness, right? Same thing in MapleStory. Like if the one thing you're lacking is damage, there's only so much upgrades you can do to kind of offset that in relative to your peers, right? Like I think there are a lot of classes right now that are objectively strong only because their damage is so high. But there are other classes where damage is the only thing that's bad, but their kit is actually just way more solid and better than the classes that are stronger than them itself, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example right now. But like Nightwalker is actually just like Buck.
Buck's a good example. Has a crazy kit, but its damage isn't there right now. In terms of like the hyper endgame.
Yeah, the damage is pretty mid.
Or you could even say Wind Archer or something. Like crazy kit. Bowmaster, crazy kit. Their damage isn't there right now.
I think an example I was trying to find was like a class that's strong, like in terms of damage wise, but their kit actually is just terrible.
Nightlord.
Nightlord, yeah, literally.
Nightlord's kit is so trash. What do they have?
They
have no iframe. They're literally just a burst bot, like straight up.
Mm-hmm. Even like no, Hero has everything, right? Like Hero's
good. Hero's good all around. Has everything.
Right. Hero is that perfect all around. Like, all right, let's give this class literally everything. Like main character as class. Nightlord is the glass cannon.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to get really good at working around spamming rope lift because that like you have nothing else to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good example of Nightlord. I don't know if there's anything else, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. But
what, that's meta and just has a bad kit?
Yeah, bad kit, but just is carried by the fact that it just does a lot of damage. Like its crutch is the fact that it does a lot of damage, but everything else about it is like subpar to other classes that have a better kit, but pales in comparison in terms of damage. Xenon?
Yeah. Nah, Xenon's fine.
Yeah, Xenon's fine. They have an iframe. They have.
Do we want to define what a good kit is?
So I think a class like I don't want to say Mihao as a good example because Mihao is just like a cheater class.
No, Mihao's no. There's more than just survivability that makes a good kit though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just that. It's having options. I think a good kit is having options. Whether it's survivability, movement, right? Hoyoung has a good kit though.
The easiest way to describe a character's kit is when you don't have the damage for something, you have something else to compensate for it, and that's exactly what the kit is. Mm-hmm. Whether it be your survivability in the form of iframes, lifesteal, shields, or even movement, or if you have party support, right? Like if you throw 30 boss on a class that's supposed to deal damage, it's like, to me, it's automatically a really good class, right? Like look at Xenon with the field. Like why are they giving IED and damage buff, right? Why does Mercedes have IED and damage buff? This makes a good class like exceptional just with that alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even Nightlord with Frailty Curse, that's like their crutch, right? Like since all they have is damage and no movement, no survivability, anything else, they give them some party support in the form of 40 IED, and that alone like makes their kit pretty insane. I'm not gonna lie. Like if it that 40 IED goes a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I brought up Hoyoung because you're talking about what's a class that has options, and Hoyoung has one of the most options.
Yeah, Hoyoung has super good kit.
You have a modular iframe, though.
Yep, modular iframe, air stall. You have a TP. You have good movement.
I think Paladin is also a class where it's like kind of carried by the fact that you can give sacro to people. Yeah. You give sacro to people. Like, I think Paladin's kit really isn't that great.
I would disagree. I would say the kit is really good.
No, but this goes back to my point though. It's circumstantial. Like, what good and bad in what? You know what I mean? Like, Paladin's kit for end Lomin and below is like god tier. You know what I mean? It's like you're not gonna get hit by like that pap bomb type shit. Yeah. But like end game, it's like, yo, who cares? You know what I mean? Like everything's percent. Everything has a gauge. Like Saren's gonna fucking hit you with the banana, and it doesn't matter. Like you're gonna get
Yep.
gauged. Like
Their party support is really good though, right? Like
It's also niche as well, right? Like
mm-hmm.
the thing about Paladin is their value is as valuable as the strongest member. Like
Yeah.
if you put Paladin Link on a Xenon, like that, you're like giving that Xenon a fuck ton of damage.
Put it
Yeah.
on
But
the
if you-
DB so they could blue dot.
Yeah, true.
it gives buff duration too, right? Like these buff duration classes, Paladin is really good for that too.
Buff duration?
Yeah, Paladin gives buff duration. Like when they link with someone, they get the FD and they give them a buff duration that's scaling with the amount of strength that the Paladin has.
Yo, chills knowledge, bro. I did not expect you to know
Mr.
that, bro.
Dude, I got knowledge, bro. I got that.
There's a hard cap to it. And it's really easy to hit. If that's what you're.
50K stat, right?
No, it's not 50k. It's even lower than 50k strength.
Well, it's still like 100 buff, right? It's like a pretty good amount.
Are you talking about like the actual buff duration stat? What do you mean by buff duration?
They give the person they're linked to buff duration.
No, they don't.
They do.
The duration of Divine Echo is based on how much strength they give. They don't give buff duration to classes.
Fraud.
Okay, I'm a fraud then. Dude, all this time I was told that they gave buff.
No, they give a buff, but don't give you buff duration. Also, Divine
First of
Echo isn't what gives you the FD. Divine Echo is what links you to someone, and
Yeah.
your attacks mimic. But when you're linked to them, you can use I don't remember what it's called now, but it was like the elemental skill that gave you FD. That is a skill that you can buff. So when you have a paladin or you're playing paladin, you link to someone and you have to rebuff the FD skill so that you both get it. It doesn't automatically apply.
No, I know.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no buff duration involved here.
What the fuck?
The duration of Divine Echo is based on how much strength you have, but it's really easy to cap out on the duration of it.
Never mind, this class is ass.
All good.
Anyways.
let's go back to what we were talking about. So good and bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk about more examples where a class is just legit carried by the damage, but the kit itself is just bad. Like, I think someone mentioned Demon Avenger. I don't know too much about the class, but I know that it hits really hard.
So DA is pure DPS, right? They have a really good origin, but other than that, like they're just pure DPS. Like they're gonna do any burst, but their DPS is really really good. And the thing about their kit is like their kit's weird, bro. Like, you know what I mean? If you're playing the class optimally, you're on 29 Frenzy and you have RFS on, which is gonna make every single thing one shot you. So it's like, if that's the case, then I guess the kit is bad because everything's gonna kill you. You know what I mean? But if you're not playing on 29 Frenzy, then nothing's gonna kill you, right? Like, it's the opposite. So it kind of just depends on how you're playing the DA.
I feel like you do so much less damage without 29 Frenzy though. Like it's actually so bad.
Yeah, it's
I think it's like 30 FD. It's like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're DPS, it's way more important. You can't just like put that shit on only for burst, right? Like what burst?
I think Demon Avenger is just really held back by its mobility at that point.
I'm not gonna lie, Glide is kind of OP.
It is OP,
Glide is
but
good.
it's like
Yeah.
It's not gonna be able to get you out of like it's not gonna allow you to have insane uptime is what I'm trying to say. Like you have
It's,
you
not
get
like,
something
it's,
like
it's not a stick.
for
It
a
ain't-
class that needs uptime, Glide isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
They need Chaos Lock, bro. If they had Chaos Lock, it'd be perfect. But
Yeah, that's why
they don't.
DS is crazy, because DS has an insane kit and it has damage, right?
Mhm.
So if we want to talk about what makes a class good, it needs to have both. It needs to have a good kit that allows it to have DPS uptime and good bursts and damage. You need to have both. That's why Demon Slayer has been consistently OP. Nightwalker is consistently OP. Hayato is consistently really strong. Don't laugh, bro. Like, I know you're gonna laugh when I said that, bro. But it's strong when it has the damage it needs, right? Like, the same thing with Cadena, right? Like these classes are mad strong because their kit is crazy. The kit allows you to be strong, right? If you're just strong and you have a shit kit, it's just way harder. Because then you have to just abuse like Jenny iframe and Kerr and like all this shit, right?
Right.
What makes a class bad? And we could talk about the other end of the spectrum, right? So automatically, if you have low damage, you're probably gonna be less preferred, just in general. Like just in general, like if you have low damage, if you're like, what's a low damage class, right? Besides Lara, let's talk about something else. Okay, Phantom. If you're like a Phantom and you have low damage, it's like there's only so much you can do, right? Because Phantom has a really good kit, but at the end of the day, it has low damage. So it's like you can try, you can give your all, bro. But at the end of the day, like there's only so much you can do. Now, I want to also give a disclaimer that like at the end of the day, everybody could clear everything. So it's like you don't have to hear this and think like, fuck man, I'm playing Phantom, I'm just gonna switch to like a stronger class. Like no, keep playing Phantom. You're gonna progress. You're still gonna be able to clear everything. You know what I mean? So I just want to make that clear because a lot of people take these types of conversations the wrong way, and they'll see it as like an excuse or like justification to like jump ship. So don't do that.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I think Kalos was a mistake, bro.
What do you mean?
I think that, like, just think about what everyone's perception of what good and bad class is because of Kalos, like the way you deal damage in that boss, right? Where...
Bro, I completely agree with you, bro. No, we gotta take it back further than Kalos, bro. It's not even just Kalos. It's this whole bind burst FD stacking meta, bro. That's the problem. It stems from that. The fact that you can FD stack and bind and burst all in like one small like hyper like concentrated like singularity of damage, bro. Like that's the issue. That's the issue. Other MMOs don't have this, bro. Like it's not like a thing. Like straight up.
Yeah, it's not.
I think this whole conversation about bind and FD stacking should be just its own topic.
It is, bro.
Yeah.
I could ult about that shit forever.
Yeah. We'll go over it next time, but what's it called? I think just to like comment on like the Kalos thing. The reason why we feel that way is just because it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
People don't want to do 2 bursts per second, right?
Yeah.
Like you could clear Kalos by just sending the test every single time, but it's gonna require your party to have really good coordination, right? Being able to live, hitting the shots, right? And honestly, like even if we had like the calls changes that we saw in the future right now, people are still going to just play the way they play right now. Have enough burst for 1 segment, pause, you know, cooldowns are coming back up. All right, cleanse machine, push test, rinse repeat until the boss is dead. Even if we had, you know, the new changes where you can shoot like 3 times faster or something, and there's like a giga warning for FMA and whatnot, like it's the path of least resistance. People are going to go, they're going to clear the boss that doesn't exactly make them super challenged or frustrated, right? Because again, it's like it's probably because like we just have enough damage in the game, and the progression of this game is so fast that you could opt to just take your time until you get to that point. But the people that are trying to do X calls right now, that no, they're going to be pushing the agenda. They're going to be trying their hardest. They're going to be doing 2 bursts per segment, right? And in those cases, like my party, where you know the only thing that's really just bad about it is the fact that I exist in it as a dual blade. I'm going to shine as a dual blade in that boss because I'm actually going to get value on my mini burst, because we do have a Demon Slayer and Bishop, and we will be doing at some point like a 2-minute Benny, right? So in that 2-minute Benny, we also have the new Genesis change where it's a 2-minute cooldown. It's going to be actually valuable as a 90-second class to be able to contribute during that. Same with Cannon Masters. Like they're going to be they're actually going to be doing really well in Kalos, I feel like, compared to how they were before.
Yeah, I do think that even with Bind Burst meta, if there is a boss where you give a DPS class the opportunity to, you know, DPS, like the opportunity to shine, to go crazy, skill expression, all that, they can keep up, right? Like they can keep up in performance. They can do a lot better than they can if it was just bind burst and wait 3 minutes for your cooldown before you send the test, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like a practicality thing, right? Like there's not going to be that many parties clearing C Kalos right now if everyone was 2 bursting segments, right? Like that's like pretty impractical to ask for the masses of people to do. So I don't think it's much of a thing where people are looking for the easiest path. I think it's just straight up like if they were asked to do something like that, it would be just too impractical for a mass amount of people to do. Like, yeah, sure, like the Giga Elite, like super hands players could do it, but I don't think it would go much beyond that. And if it did, and a lot of people were progging it, there would be a lot of arguments in the Discord calls, bro. Like,
I think it's a matter of like, again, it's you have that option. It's the path of least resistance. You're talking about how like, oh, like these DPM, like you're saying Kalos is the reason why we look at the classes differently. But
well, I say it's a big reason.
I'm saying that the DPM classes can still do just fine if that were the case where people are actually pushing the limits of their class, where you're actually doing 2 bursts per segment. Like I'm not saying you have to do that, but
Yeah,
the opportunity to shine as a DPM class, that is the opportunity right there and then.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'm just saying it's impractical, right? Like it's not like definitely not the best way of doing things, right? Like it's just impractical. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but if you were to take, 1,000 parties and you told them we want you to clear C Kalos the way they're doing it now, right? Normally, and then you took another 1,000 and you told them to do what you're doing, one of them is going to have a significantly higher clear rate, right? Because it's impractical to ask of parties to have to clear that way. So yeah, like I think it's just I don't know. I just feel some type of way about how C Kalos kind of skewed everyone's perspective on classes, right?
No, I'm with you, bro. It's the same thing that happened with Lucid P3, right? When Lucid P3 was the big thing in the game, and it's just like, yo, you don't got burst to clear that shit, like your ass, bro. Like you can't contribute to the burst. What's your 40-second burst, bro? It's just the same thing. History repeating itself. But I do want to say that we should bring it back to what's about good and bad classes, though. I feel like this is a different conversation.
Yeah.
Like in general, like what is a good class in this game? You know what I mean? Like, is a good class that's strong, or is it a good class that has options? You know what I mean? Or is it both? Or what makes a bad class? Do you have to have damage to be a good class? I feel like you don't have to be damaged. I don't think you have to have a lot of damage to be a good class necessarily.
So I think
it's a huge aspect of it, though.
So if we were to have like different metrics to rate a class, based off like damage, support, all this, I feel like a class can be automatically good if they're like an extreme case, right? Like if they're just maxed out in damage and nothing else, like Night Lord, then they are automatically a good class. If they're maxed out in support, like Bishop, they're automatically a good class, right? But I think when a class is too like...
Yeah, it's stretched out too thin. It's just okay at everything. It's not that good.
Okay at everything and like bad at one thing. Like if it's okay with support and damage, or it's okay with support and survivability, but it does no damage, then it's probably not a good class, right? Like it might be spread out in the wrong areas too, Like it could be a DPS class with good survivability, no party support, and it's probably considered a bad class because of that, right? Like no bursts, all survivability.
It's like a blaster.
It sounds like Phantom, right? It sounds like Phantom, Blaster, Dark Knight, these classes.
I think good and bad like also is just so dependent on what the current meta is. Like when Black Mage was the meta and that was the hardest class in the game, dude, Hydo and Phantom were like, Hydo and Phantom had the fastest BM clear times, right? And people were just glazing the fuck out of him. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy how the perception of the class completely changes just based off of what the boss is. But right now, since we're in this like H culling C Kalos meta, it's like if you don't got burst, you're nothing. You know what I mean? But does that mean your class is bad? Like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't mean your class is bad. It's just you're just not optimal for the current endgame situation, which I don't think that necessarily means you're bad or means you shouldn't play that class. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would say that it makes it bad, right? Because it's all
Mhm.
it's all relative to the game that we're playing currently. So if it's bad in the current meta, then I would have to say that it's just bad. Like, because we also don't know what the future bosses are gonna have in store for us. It could straight up be just Bind Burst all over again. They could be Cikalos V2. So if we were to say the class is bad, but only bad in the current meta, I still think that means it's just bad.
Yeah, but we have to define current meta though. Like we have to say like it's specifically the current end game meta because
Yeah.
meta changes where you're at in the game. You know what I mean? Like mid game meta is completely different, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you could just
Like
solo everything.
C10 meta, bro. Like DB is so good, stuff like that. For example, it's like,
Yeah.
but current hyper end game meta, it's like no, it's not so good. So it
Yeah.
just really just depends on what you're saying. Like you could take it back to League, bro. Like what's the meta in gold, bro? You know what I mean? Like you just lock
Yeah.
in Fizz, right?
I mean,
What's the meta in Challenger? You just play like, I don't know, some
Yeah.
micro champ.
based
So-
off you saying that, I would just say if that's the case, then you can't really rank a class being good or bad. Like
Exactly.
You just can't.
Yeah, that's what I first started this entire conversation with. Is it's so circumstantial to say whether a class is good or bad. That's why, like, for example, when I do my tier list, it's like my tier lists are all defined within a certain bracket because it's like the game changes so much. Like the things that you need to excel in the game change so much as you get further and further into it. And then let's say in the future they release a new boss. Alex in the chat actually said this. It was a really good idea. Like, what if they release a boss in the future where, similar to Kaling, you split up into different rooms, but different rooms have different requirements? What if there's like this big burst wall room where like you need to do a certain amount of damage or you're not gonna clear the phase, and then another room needs like a certain DPS check, like you need to break a shield, right? Like you need to consistently break this shield every like 15 seconds or something, or you're not ever gonna clear. Like a boss like that would fit everybody, right?
Yep.
I think we need something like that. Low-key. They kind of had it with Kaling, right? Like, ish, but they've seen it make that concept more.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to like bosses like Calling, I feel like they can only make so many of those type of bosses before the gimmick just kind of just gets old and it ends up becoming more of like a annoyance.
Yeah, but you could say the same the other way around though. Like every other boss besides Kaling is the same shit. It's 6 man, you FD stack, you bind and burst. You know what I mean? Like, are we just gonna go back to that? There's got to be something else.
I think that Calling was the first. I mean, obviously, it's the first of its type boss where you're separated by rooms. It definitely, it dampens the whole value of FD stacking, like because you're in separate rooms, the value of the FD stacking only comes into fruition during P2 and P3, right? Like this whole like separate room thing is like their band-aid fix to kind of like address like, oh yeah, like this FD stacking shit's kind of they don't have like a good answer for it yet. Like there's definitely different ways you can go about it, but this was like their way of like, okay, creating a new boss, a boss with a unique play style to it in terms of like coordination and whatnot. Because if it weren't for the gauge, this is what something that Phil said, right, in our previous conversations before. If it weren't for the gauge, you being in separate wounds, without that gauge, it wouldn't even feel like you're actually in a party. It's just you and one dude.
Yeah.
Right. The gauge actually makes it so that it feels like you're working together. Even though you're separated by rooms, like it still feels like you're all together still.
I said this before, and I truly believe that to work around the bosses around what the problem, rather than fixing the problem directly, is probably a better idea, because FD stacking is a problem that's, if there was a good fix, they would have to literally rework everything.
Yeah,
Like,
they would. They literally would have to rebuild the shit from top to bottom. Yeah.
They'd have to rework how final damage works. And if they were to try and do something even as simple as, I've seen some people say like, oh, why don't they just nerf Bishop and buff every other class's party support? That would literally like derail whatever plans that they had, because they plan everything like way ahead of time, right? That they would have to derail everything and be like, okay, we're gonna do this instead, and then they have to like go back after and do balance changing for all that. So it just creates more problems to try and fix the mistake that is final damage stacking, that I think working around it with bosses is actually like ideal. Like it's actually like, it's not just a band-aid, it is a band-aid solution, but I think it's done perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, there's definitely a lot of ways you can go about it, but Nexon hasn't found a satisfactory one that they want to go with.
Yeah.
Like one of the ideas I had for like making like kind of closing the gap between good classes and bad classes. It's not the perfect solution, but one of the ideas I had was like the 6-job common core is an opportunity to make it so that classes that are just pure fucking DPS heads and have no party support, they could introduce some type of party support thing in the common core, right? Like I don't know if common cores are going to be like exclusive to like a Venom Burst type shit, like all thieves get it, or it will be like all explorers get it type of shit. But that common core could be like, oh, you know, it's like however many minute buff or duration, but it's a party buff. Straight up, it's just a party buff. And in that aspect, my idea with it at the beginning was that if you're like a pure DPS head and people don't want you because you only provide damage and people want more than just damage, like they want like utility or damage amp for everyone else, then that common core skill could be like an opportunity for you to break into those parties, because if you farm enough, not only will you be max Hexa, but you'll have a high level of that common core to make you more attractive as a candidate or be more useful in like pug parties and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the issue with that, right, is that, oh, then what if supports also get that skill? Then they're even more wanted, right?
Yeah.
That's where it just depends on how it would be implemented. Like make it so that only like pure DPS classes have access to that, but then support classes would get like something else that's more personal damage, or I don't know, or like maybe more utility based where it's like increases survivability or something like that. But
yeah, I just can't see that. Like I'll be honest, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that would ever work, because that just seems like, because everything's relative, right? Like it's just gonna become a scenario where the rich get richer, right?
yeah,
Like they're just gonna give the, like, you might think like, okay, they're gonna give it to DB gets party support. That's not gonna make it any better than anything else, because this Night Lord is also just taking the same exact thing you took to help the party, and you know, everyone went up the same relative amount. So if everyone went up, you go up with everyone else, but you're still at the bottom, right? If you're a bad class, like, you might have gone up, but you're still at the bottom of the food chain because everyone else got that same change. So I don't think something like that would really fix anything. I think the only way that they can fix FD stacking is straight up reworking everything. It's like it's a hole that's too deep to fix without a rework, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely not a perfect solution, but I thought that at the very least for the people that were dedicated enough, like they could be able to just purely farm it out and just put themselves ahead of others so that they would be picked up. Or, you know, maybe more specific to my situation, right? Like my party has just been partying together for a while now. Obviously, I'm not job changing anytime soon. So if something like that were to happen, then it's like it'll just alleviate the class differences a little bit more, and within relative to within my party, if that makes sense, right? But again, I see what you're saying. Like it will be a situation where it's like the rich get richer, but it is like a tough situation for Nexon. They haven't found a solution yet that they're satisfied with.
I have an idea, actually. Oh, my bad.
What's up?
Oh, you could finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, like, a conversation that we need to have as well, is like, what do we think is a balanced class, and what do we think that Nexon thinks is a balanced class, right?
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Because like there's some classes that just have been bad for so long, but they haven't really had any help from Nexon. So it's like, is that like a situation where like, oh, Nexon thinks that class is balanced, or there's not enough people playing that class for them to want to invest time into making it better? But at the same time, that ends up being a negative feedback loop. It gets worse and worse because Nexon doesn't give it love. No one wants to play it, but because no one's playing it, Nexon doesn't want to invest time into making it better, right?
Yeah,
like something's got to give in that cycle.
I mean,
that leads me to my idea, right? So I feel like I actually have two potential solutions. Obviously, they're probably not perfect, but hear me out. So the first one is like, you know how in Final Fantasy, like if you have one of each different type of class or archetype in the party, you gain a final damage bonus, right? Like you have one ranged DPS, you have one support, you have one melee DPS, you have one mage. It's like if you have all the different archetypes in the party, you all get stronger, right? So that'll incentivize people to take different types of classes, right? Like, for example, let's say your party had, you know, Explorer, Resistance, Flora, Nova, Cygnus, and Sengoku, right? 6 different like branches. You would gain like 1 FD per unique branch, something like that. That way, like, you know, it incentivizes you to not just run like 4 Explorers. And then the other thing is, what if you made it so that classes that don't have a lot of players just have a dynamic FD buff? Let's say you took a Lyn into your party or a Lara into your party. That Lara has like a 15% FD buff because nobody fucking plays Lara. And that'll incentivize people to play Lara more because it's like nobody plays it. So I have this like bonus dynamically scaling FD. But then let's say a lot of people start playing Lara, it goes down to like 8%, 6%, right? Whereas something like Nightlord doesn't have any bonus. Like they're still strong as fuck, right? There's like 0% bonus, right?
I'm not gonna lie. I think I think what you just said is like a fantastic idea, because imagine they boost. Because I was gonna say the reason why like the shit's so like heavily imbalanced, they don't buff any of these classes because nobody fucking plays them.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't give a fuck. It's all about the money for them. The reason why like Nightlord's always on top because a lot of people play fucking Nightlord. Like people be playing this shit, right? Like classes are popular. That's why they get buffed when they're like slightly subpar, or when like even a small bit of the community starts complaining about it, right? So if they were to buff Lara because nobody's playing it, a lot of people play it, and then it gets more and more popular, and then you know that dynamic FD buff starts to diminish a little, then they have more incentive to buff it because this class is generating them money, right? So I feel like everybody wins with this solution.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good way of not only incentivizing people to play different classes instead of everybody just meta slaving Nightwalker, right? You would also want to take these people who did invest all their time into the class, right? Like there's people who play like a niche class and their gear is insane. Like Selenic, for example, right? On his Wild Hunter, his gear is crazy, but his class is shit. So it's like he gets punished, right? But if you have this like dynamically scaling thing where it's like, okay, not a lot of people play Wild Hunter, and he has this bonus like 7% FD that nobody else has just because nobody plays Wild Hunter, it's like there's a lot more incentive to take him, right? And his time isn't really wasted as much on that class, whereas he could have done the exact same thing on a Nightwalker and be like fucking god mode. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a really good solution.
I'm not too sure how I feel about that.
Like I said, it's not a perfect solution, but I think it's definitely something to think about. Like, the only downside I could potentially see from it is the meta class is just whining and being annoying. That's it. Like, people are just gonna be annoying about it.
There's also gonna be like ways to like, you know, cheat the system where there might be like some sleeper OP class, and then
exactly, and nobody plays it, right? Like that's the other thing is like Xenon is a perfect example. There's not a lot of people that play Xenon, but it's strong as fuck, right? So it would have that FD buff, right? It would have that FD buff of like, oh, it would get like 10% FD just because nobody plays it, but it's like, yo, that class is already mad strong, so it's like it doesn't even need it. So it's not a perfect solution, But it is something for the less played classes. It would have to be like in tandem with understanding the class's balance in general, or the game's balance. Yeah, Blaze Wizard is another one. Like Blaze Wizard is already so good, right? And then it would have its own FD. But the thing is, it's not FD for the party. It's only FD for itself. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's only stronger for itself. Like Blaze Wizard or some uncommonly played class, only itself would be stronger. It's not like it gives its party more FD or something. It's like Echo from FF, but like only for yourself.
What are the worst classes right now? What do you think?
The worst class in the game? DB.
What are some of the worst ones? Like overall, just worst. Like
Oh,
they
it's just
actually
like
they're
annoying as
brownie.
fuck, like class to play. Yeah, DB. Lumi. Okay, Lumi. You want an answer at that? Want a real answer here? Lumi.
To me.
My answer is Lumi. Yeah.
Yeah, Lumi's pretty bad.
Tummy.
Yo, what's up?
What do you think is like a bottom of the barrel class right now? Because we need to wrap things up, right?
It's okay. I'm in Discord on browser, so I'm just gonna be muted in in Carlos, but they'll be fine. So I
Oh,
can
hell
still
nah.
be here.
Oh
Hell
hell
nah.
nah.
They'll be fine, bro. If they int out just because I didn't call out, yeah, bro, not my fault, dude. But I mean, I feel like I'm definitely gonna be biased towards DB. I'm well aware of the weaknesses it has. I don't think I can say that it's the worst, one of the worst classes though.
Yeah, I just said that
I-
just to fuck with you.
I
My answer was
think-
Lumi.
I think some of the worst classes are basically just all the classes that are DPM classes because they're working way harder to not even get rewarded that well, or at all for the most part. Like continuous stream was kind of like their way of like kind of addressing it, but at the same time, like that only really affects solo play. A fucking
Yeah.
Con 5 versus like a Roar 5 user, it's still going to be Roar 5 just because of the FD stacking meta and just how important it is to have those burst windows and that 20-second weapon jump and Benny.
Mm-hmm.
That damage percent, like if they were to change the boss damage on Con Ring and just made it only attack percent that you gain, Con Ring would be so much better. It'd be so much better because of how much is the damage percent is diminished when you're party bossing, right? Bind
Mhm.
burst and all that. I feel like that would help DPM classes a lot. But yeah. Sucks for these DPM classes.
Do we have any other final thoughts for good and bad classes? Because I think we should wrap things up. It's been about 2 hours. Good WAP. Good WAP.
I think we can always revisit a topic later if we have more things to say, but I'm down to move on to Oz rings.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about our final topic. And that's Oz rings. So, I mean, Oz rings, like... Okay, I mean, let's just take it back to the beginning. So, like, we don't even have to run the tower anymore, right? We just get them in boxes. Like, W or L, bro? W or L for boxes?
I think in an ideal world, they just kept both options available,
Yes,
but
I
because
agree.
they weren't able to address like the hacking issue,
Mm-hmm.
they had to just get rid of Tower of Oz.
Yeah. I wish we still had both, but... I mean,
But
if I
obviously
had to
it's a
take
W,
one or
right?
the other, yeah, like one or the other, I'd much rather take it passively, bro. Like, you don't have to spend hundreds of hours in the tower getting one ring, right? Like,
Yep.
it's crazy. And then the other thing about Oz rings is like, Yo, Roar is just so strong. You know what I mean? Like, you pretty much have to have one, especially at the end game, or else you're just trolling. And it goes the other way around with weapon jump for Bishop. It's like you pretty much have to have one, or you're trolling.
Can you repeat that? There's too many comms. Oh shit.
Bro, this is why I knew this would fucking not be a good idea, bro. We should have just wrapped things up and left the Oz rings for another day.
No, I'll leave it up to you then. You said that Roar was good. That's all I heard.
Yeah, Roar good, weapon jump good, really good.
Yes.
Need one for end game or else trolling.
Yes, I think the whole Ozzy situation is unique, but also ended up becoming an issue of itself because it further it further widens the gap between DPM and burst classes, especially with the current meta of the bosses. I like the idea of Oz rings because equipment with unique actives like that are really cool to me. I wish they did more of that. Ideally, they implement it in a bit more of a healthier way so that all classes don't have like a crazy, like different, what's it use case of it, or like called like efficiency difference in. But like
There needs to be more rings, I feel.
I don't necessarily think
I
it
agree.
needs to be more rings, but I just think there just needs to be more unique equipment. Like I feel like the current we talked about this before in previous episodes, where it's like I wish there were more interesting items and not just like, oh, you got Eternals,
Yeah.
you just got better set effect, better base stats, better potential, better flames. Like no, I want something more like, imagine like if you could like have like different sets of gear for like training setups specifically, which we kind of do have, right? Like some classes that are cooldown classes, they use like Wings of Fate and whatnot, cooldown hat when they're training. But I'm talking more like gear that enhances your training to the point where it's like, okay, you
Imagine
when
having a
you're wearing-
different hitbox with a certain skill.
yeah,
right.
exactly. We talked about this before, like gear that would transform the hitbox of your skills, or maybe the cooldown a bit more, or like just completely change skill, which is something that exists in other games, right? Like Lost Ark is a perfect example where you have your gear will augment your skills, right? It's something super basic that would have been cool is like maybe you could like socket special nodes to your gear, right? Imagine you were just able to put a fatal on your hat, or like a recovery on your hat, or like maybe not the same effect, but like effects like that on your equipment would be pretty cool. Obviously, it would need to be toned down so that's not like broken, but having like that little that little gimmick is just fun. It gives people options. I mean, people will probably end up defaulting to whatever gives them the most damage when they're boss.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
But,
like,
at
it's
least
cool
you
to
have
have those
options,
options.
though.
Yeah.
Because that's always the argument that I hear about like different options. People are just gonna be like, it's bad. You're just gonna yell at each other and go the most optimal route. It's like, yeah, that's probably gonna happen. But at the end of the day, like you can still play in a casual setting and have fun. It's the same shit on League, right? It's like you see a fucking, I don't know, bro. You see like a Yasuo building full AP. It's like, yeah, this guy's trolling, but like at least he's having fun. Hopefully it's not a rank though. Maybe that was a bad example.
Yeah, it was a bad example.
Okay, Jax AP versus AD, right? It's like both kind of work, but usually you run AD.
Yeah, it's like imagine if Maple had like unique build paths, right? Like that'd be fun.
Yeah. People are just gonna
But
ask
yeah.
what the most optimal one is, though. Like, it's
Yeah,
true.
they are.
They're just gonna be like, "What do I build?" That's
They
it.
would have to be like so game
Mobile
breaking
Fire on Maple.
for them to be unique.
I think it'd be nice if they could implement Oz rings currently a little bit more different. Like it is annoying to have to ring swap,
It is, yeah.
especially
Wish we had to we just wear them all, bro. And they just had cooldowns. That's it. Ring swapping is so annoying, bro. Wish we could just equip them all. Like there's just 4 different ring slots, 4 Oz rings. You just have them all on, and then they just have 3-minute cooldowns.
yeah.
Thanos meta.
But
I think-
more Oz rings options would be pretty cool, but I don't know what ideas they would be able to come up with, right? Like it
FD.
all. How
Just
the
kidding.
fuck not?
Just kidding. FD, bro. FD ring plus 30 FD for 15 seconds, and it
You know,
stacks.
You know how roar like benefits some classes way more than others because some classes are just fitting their entire burst in. I
Yeah.
feel like they could rework some rings, like risk taker ring. Like imagine a bowmaster could just wear the risk taker, so their
Mhm.
whole burst lands and lines up perfectly with the ring, right? I feel like
Yeah.
something like that would be really good. But like risk taker, you're gonna get hit by something, bro. Like you're not gonna get the full value of it.
Mhm.
And bowmaster, when they roar, they're getting like not even half their burst in.
Yeah.
I feel like they could
Exactly.
rework some rings to help out these classes with long bursts, like bowmaster.
I agree.
Battle Mage or Ron, like instead of only letting these last resort classes with like quick bursts that fit everything into roar, like they're just benefiting from it. I think Ring of Restraint as a whole is just such a normalized idea because it's been around for so long, but I
Mhm.
do think it's actually pretty unhealthy for the game, like unless there was more rings added, the same classes are just going to be meta all the time.
Mhm.
Or they can just buff the other rings, right? Like I said with Cont Ring, just don't make it any damage percent at all. Just make it only attack, right? Then it'd be pretty good in a party, I feel. And
Yeah. That
these
works.
stats aren't diminished as hell.
I don't know how to feel about continuous. In a sense where it's like I'm not sure if a cooldown was like
Yo,
would
low
people
key,
have
it shouldn't
preferred
even
it
have
if
had
they
a
lowered.
cooldown.
Yeah, if they lowered the values, and but just made it 100% uptime.
I think that would have been better, straight up.
Like,
For like the
still
raw
keep-
DPS classes, it would have been better. DA would be
Yeah.
eating, like Blaster would be eating more, like straight up.
Yeah.
Like still keep like the 2-minute charge time when you first equip it, so you can use.
No, fuck that, bro. Remove that shit. That shit's so annoying. At least make it like a minute charge time, bro. The 2 minutes is too much.
Yeah.
Like shit is so annoying.
I do think the cooldown makes no sense though. Like why is there an uptime and downtime? It makes no sense to me.
Bro, actually true. Like that shit is mad weird, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't know why there's like an up and down time. Just make it like instead of what is it, like 140 boss and 10 attack, just make it like 100 attack or 100 boss and like fucking 7 attack. And that's it. 100% uptime.
Yeah.
Or that too, yeah. No charge time outside of boss rooms. Yeah, that works too. How do we feel about grindstones? Because that's about Oz rings. Like grindstones. Like you need to get grindstones to upgrade the ring. Cool,
It's
not
good.
cool. Should be easier, should be harder, or what?
I think it's perfectly I think it's perfect the way it is because this game is a very long-term based game, right? And there's a bit of a feeling of that feeling of satisfaction when that 10% chance actually goes
Mm-hmm.
like crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you need the level 5 rings to clear any content either. So it's not like the guy who has it's just completely gapping you and you're not clearing any of the bosses he's clearing. Just they didn't make it too OP where like what if they added another 25% attack onto the Roar 5 plus the duration? That would have been way too much, right? I think
Mhm.
just adding the duration on the skills is pretty good. And yeah, I think grindstones will become more and more abundant as more bosses are released. Like I'd have to imagine Limbo is gonna drop one, right?
I guess, yeah, probably.
And
Most
then
likely.
if we're gonna be killing killing soon, or not soon, but like it's not just gonna be like a couple parties clearing killing. It's gonna be a lot more and more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're gonna become more abundant. So I think they're good with where they're at right now. If they made them too easy, I don't know. I'm always in favor of keeping gear progression hard. I'm always in favor of that because
Mm-hmm.
you have to, like you're in it for the long run on this game, right?
Yeah, this game is a long run game.
And yeah, it just that feeling of like
There needs to be a limit though. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like yeah, you could be in it for the long run. Some people have been in it for the long run and they're still fucking like cucked. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a limit.
Yeah.
Like look at that guy Gintoki, bro. Like bro's been hard stuck 3-set for like 3-4 years, bro. Like straight up. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
Bro was a brick.
It especially sucks when you see your peers getting everything before you, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where it's sucking really, like that's where you really notice how much it sucks, right? Like when you see this guy playing the same class as you, this guy hit like triple prime on his Jenny weapon, right? And then you're never gonna get that, so you're just perm gapped and you're always comparing yourself to him. This guy hit his Eternals before you, this guy hitting all of the pitch before you, like you're just gapped. But like objectively speaking, you're still clearing all the same shit as him, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, most people are not gonna fall into that, right? Like most
Yeah.
people, 90+% people are gonna all be around the average, anyways. Like, so it doesn't even matter. I mean, I don't have anything else to say about Oz rings, to be honest. You have anything else,
Yeah.
Tommy? Okay.
Uh,
All right.
I
If
think
that's
some.
I'll go ahead.
I think seeing more Oz rings would be cool. I think more adjustments to it would be cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the concept of Oz rings, but I do think it is an old concept, but this definitely needs to be retouched. I'm glad they looked, they even bothered touching it in the first place, like adding
Mm-hmm.
passive ring box gains or just adding a new ring, adding the concept of grindstones. I love that they're looking into it, but some more love would be cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna move us to our ending. Does anybody have any like final questions or thoughts for us? Could be about anything. We'll leave it up to you guys. Like, is there anything else you guys want to talk about real quick? Legacy items?
I was gonna say, oh, Shade Link. I don't have anything else to talk about this time around, but until like next for me.
Okay, we'll answer this legacy item question. Let's give a quick reply to legacy items. All right. I mean, what do you want to know? Like, are they good? Are they bad? Or what? Okay, so I'll give you my take on legacy items. I think it's fine for certain things to be legacy in the game because you should be rewarded for playing for a really long time. So for example, let's say like there's like a 14th anniversary like NX that looks really cool. It's like, sure, like, you were there. Like you're him, bro. You were there. But I think legacy items that can make a significant impact in gameplay are a problem, right? Like let's say for example, Genesis iframe was legacy for whatever the fuck reason, right? It's like that would be a big problem because it's like, damn, bro, like you have a whole ass Genesis iframe and I can never get that. Now here's the other thing though, is I honestly think that the legacy gap between the people who have it and don't is not that big of a deal. Like it's not as big of a gap as people think. Whether some people have a badge or not, it's like it's not gonna make that difference for your gameplay. Like it really isn't. Like if you really think that like if you don't have legacy, like you're not gonna be able to clear, you're not gonna be number one in your class, like you're just wrong. You're literally just wrong. Like you can still achieve everything even without the legacy. I think the people's perception of the legacy is way too overboard. Like people think like, yo, if I don't have that shit, it's cooked. And in reality, the legacy is getting replaced anyways, right? Think about it. Like 2 of the dark totems already got replaced, right? Misty Island totem, slime totem. Probably not gonna get the slime one anymore, but Misty Island probably will get it at some point again. And then Lab Lock, that's 1 replaced with Abyssal already. We're gonna get Abyssal again eventually. Badge gets diminished as we get more and more stat. Doesn't even matter anymore. Genesis badge becomes stronger and stronger. They could just buff the pitch set, which they did with the 10th set. It's like, bro, all these things, like, I wouldn't even like stress out too much. But if there was something that had a really big impact on the game, yes, that would be a problem. But right now, of the current legacy, I really don't think it has a huge impact on your viability or chance of hitting end game, so I don't think it's too much of a problem. But on the flip side, I do understand the concept of legacy. Like, somebody has something that I can't get. I understand how that can rub people the wrong way, but just it's important to remember that, like, it's not the end of the world. It's really not the end of the world. And technically, fucking everything is legacy, bro. Me going through the Identisk event and getting flames that you didn't get, my, like, 200 E-flames and shit, like, yeah, I have an E-flame boost on you. Stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think MapleStory was definitely a very different game. Like, you know, almost 10 years ago. Like, it was a really bad game. I would even go as far to say that, like, it was a really, really bad game, playing Reboot specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know if I should say, like, the players should be rewarded, but, like, I think Nexon has acknowledged that things like Potable Badge were a mistake. And if you have one, you have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's usually, like, the new gen players that complain about people having legacy when they've only experienced the good side of this game, right? They didn't experience all the bad shit from back then. Like, me included, like, I've only heard stories of how bad it was, and I know for a fact that I could never play this game back then long term.
Mm-hmm.
I am not tolerating that shit. So at the very least, like, they tanked all of that, and they're still playing to this day, which is crazy,
Yup,
right?
I did. Yup, I did, bro.
So,
I did do that.
yeah, I wouldn't say they deserve it, but, you know,
What time?
they went through all of that.
Thoughts on pay to win and reboot golden piggies meso bags early on? I am perfectly fine with having a way to spend money and get gains and reboot, but there has to be a way to also get it for free. So let me explain. Let's say you pay money to get piggies that give you 10 bill mesos, right? And you could get it right now. If you pay for it, you could get it right now. Or if you don't pay for it, you could get it a few days later, right? That way it's fine, right? Because it's like, you're not really getting like an advantage that somebody else can't get, because at the end of the day, you can also get it for free. It's just a little bit slower. I think that's fine. But I think if there's something that, like, you have to pay for it to get it, and there's no other way, I don't think that's right. I'ma still buy it, though, personally. But I don't think it's right, though.
Like, I think they could make it like, you can either just straight up
So
buy
like vac bets. Yeah.
like 1,000 tickets, and you can get the
Mhm.
piggy, right? Or you
Mhm.
can go out there and kill mobs, get 1,000 of them. Like, it's not a very common drop. It'll take you a while to get it. You have to farm a lot, like, you know, like a few reps, maybe like 2 reps a day, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can farm it yourself, and you'll get that same reward. But, you know, to help out these people who, you know, just straight up don't have the time to play, or, you know, they're just casual, but they still want to progress,
Mm-hmm.
they can still get that, but it's not an advantage, right? Like, I think with
Yeah.
piggies, I think the problem with piggies that everyone had was you can get most of the piggies. free
Yeah,
to
you
play,
could get
right?
7. You could get 7 out of 8, but you couldn't get 8 out of 8.
Yeah, you
And
couldn't get
the
that last
capping the culver took way longer if you didn't buy the
Yeah,
tool.
it
Like,
was
way
so long.
longer. It was crazy.
It was like 4 hours, like, farming in one day, and you capped. It was so stupid.
Mhm. Yeah. I think VacPat, honestly, there should be a way to get it for free. There should. Now, okay, VacPat's a whole other conversation, to be honest with you. Not only do I think it's too expensive, I think it's dumb as fuck that you have to pay a subscription to play it. Like, in general, like, I think that's stupid as fuck. But I think there should be I think there should be a way to get a revivable vac for free, not just like the 30-day vac, right? Because it's like, yo, dropping $100, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I know that you have to play reg for MP, I guess. Yeah, I guess. It's such a, like, it's too much, though. That's, like, way too much to reasonably expect. That has to be, everything that I'm talking about has to be within reason. It's, like, reasonable
Yeah.
expectations of the average person, right? Like, I know, like, for us, it's like, you know, you drop $100 on the game. It's like, it might not feel like much for a lot of people, but there's so many people that, like, dropping $100 all at once. Oh, but you could discount it with reward points. Okay, but not many people are going to discount it with reward points. Like, dropping $100 is a lot of fucking money. Think about, like, where $100 could get you in, like, any other game, bro. Like, that's a lot of money for something as impactful as VacBet. So, yeah, that's how I feel about like pay to win. I think as long as there's like a way to get it for free, like for example with the golden giveaway, how there's like that extra row that you have to pay like $40 for to unlock it. It's like I think that's whack because it's like you can't get it no matter what. And the stuff in there was so good too. There has to be a way for you to like make Maple points on this game for free, straight up. Like there has to be a way to do it without playing reg server and funding like $50,000 worth of gear. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a way. There has to be a way that like you kill a certain amount of mobs, you get Maple points or something. Like, bro, I mean that'll incentivize botters, obviously, right? So
Yeah.
you know what's the crazy thing is a lot of these issues or a lot of the solutions to these problems, they don't do it because of botters, right? It's because like the security for this game isn't like that, like where like people still macro and bot and stuff like that. They can't do a lot of these things because you know they have to think about the botters, because like a botter could just fucking farm 1 billion Maple points, right? So it's like there's like a lot of steps along the way that need to get there, basically. But I think I'm gonna end it here though. This was almost 2.5 hours, so there's your WAP content. Any final words from you two?
Hell no.
Hell no. Okay, tell me.
Yo, plug my
good.
shit. Plug my shit.
Plug my shit. Okay.
Plug it, bro. Plug it.
Okay, so obviously make sure you follow GigaTaco5 on Twitch as well. He streams a lot. He also streams into the night. He low-key on those OCE EU hours if you're up.
Yo.
Yep, so like you could see him there. You could also watch Tummy as well, twitch.tv/Stummy. He also streams. Low-key, he'd be doing these night, morning hours too. So low-key, we got this whole thing covered. He also has a YouTube channel, SONTO @Santo. He has a lot of his like dual blade videos and stuff like that there. And then obviously, if you enjoyed this podcast, maybe consider watching some of our other videos, maybe the past 2 episodes of the podcast. And if you want to see more podcasts, obviously let us know. And if you want me to have any certain guests on the stream, let me know who you want on the stream as well.
Yes,
With that being said though, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.